It's 6 a.m. from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. Former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava is expected to commit to UCLA, as first reported by Fox Sports' Colin Cowherd saying, quote, "It's a done deal." Iamaleava entered the spring transfer portal reportedly looking for a new NIL deal worth $4 million per year. The deal with UCLA is expected to be just north of $1 million. Cowherd also added that Iamaleava's decision is not just about the money, more so about the Tennessee offense. The Nashville Predators concluded their disappointing 2024-25 season last night on a positive note as they beat the Dallas Stars 5-1 at Bridgestone Arena on Fan Appreciation Night. The Predators head to the offseason with the third best odds to win the NHL Draft Lottery for the first overall pick at 11.5%. Just the San Jose Sharks at 25.5%, and the Chicago Blackhawks at 13.5% have better odds. And the NBA playing games continued last night. In the East, the Miami Heat beat the Chicago Bulls 109-90. They will face the Atlanta Hawks for the 8th seed and final spot in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And in the West, the Dallas Mavericks beat the Sacramento Kings 120-106 and will face the Memphis Grizzlies for the 8th seed and final spot in the Western Conference playoffs. Both of those games will be tomorrow night. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW 104.5 The Zone off and running on a Thursday morning. 615-737-1045 the number. 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, where you watch us in the F&M Bank chat. You hit the comment section as Nico is expected to commit to UCLA. Look, we've got commentators on television networks dabbling in college football. That's how big this thing has gotten.
Big time.
For all of you who want us to just go ahead and move on, not quite there yet. Coach Mack, we never move on from him. 7:20 this morning, as always, talking NFL draft. Brad Crawford at 247 at 8:20 today. And are the Titans potentially tipping their hand on a big move they might make in the NFL draft? We'll talk about that this morning with a full crew in studio. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Boulding on Friday, Junior, April the 17th. We are brewed up by Scooter's Coffee. Good morning.
Good morning, good folks. Good morning.
Been a wild morning already. I feel like we've already been in here. We had some gifts given on the show this morning. The coffee is flowing.
Yes.
So we're all, it feels like we've already been on the show for like 30 minutes.
Hey, I got a package yesterday. I had to go ahead and tell my wife, look, I didn't order anything. This wasn't on me. Okay, we have this battle.
She's just like, what did you order?
Amazon and Nike and just, what did you order today? Yeah. It's been our battle in the house as of late. But this one, man, shout out to Volunteer Traditions again, man. They sent me a couple extra shirts, and they also sent some for the gang in here too, man. So we'll be outfitted for sure as much as possible. Got to find Kayla some Cougs, though. I got you. Don't you trip.
I wonder, do they make?
We gonna find it.
Do they make any of that? Maybe they should do like a pop-up store one. You know how they have those pop-up stores? I'll buy like half of it from them. They make it, I'll buy it.
We don't doubt that.
They make it, I buy
Nobody's
it.
doubting that.
Hey, what I will say is Vols shop in Knoxville this weekend got it out me. They did. 100. I'm not going to the Vols shop again in Knoxville.
And there's Volunteer Tradition stuff at the Vols shop.
It is, and I saw it, and I said, get away from me, devil. I said, get away.
It's addictive.
And I still spent like it's not the devil.
It's the angel sitting on your shoulder.
I still spent, yes, it was. And I still spend like way too much money. It does. But it's what you do. It's
good stuff.
I know.
What you do, man.
I know.
Shop local.
I need to upgrade.
Definitely shop local, man. Shout out to Mason, man, for sending that to the house, man.
Awesome.
I got some nice shirts at the house now, too. Let's go.
Aunt Keisha's got some?
Look, Keisha, she get it how she live, okay? She know how to hit the order button.
Okay.
We're making Peyton though. Will's making Peyton adopt it.
Yeah, she might as well.
Yeah.
By marriage.
She can do GMU.
I didn't make her adopt it. She
Vols.
chose to adopt it.
She chose this life?
Yeah, no, she loves the Vols.
Okay.
She's got Vol blood in her family as well.
Yeah.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
There we go. Well, I'll take it then. I'll take it, man.
I'm so charming that she just wanted to become a Tennessee fan.
Right.
Nobody's forced to do anything. We all have our own free will.
605,
She
man.
likes
And I've
the
chosen James
orange.
Madison. I love the Dukes.
You love the Dukes then?
We are the Dukes of JMU.
All right,
I know their fight song and everything.
I must admit that I was not a Vols fan until I started the station. So kudos to everybody at 104.5
Really?
Zone for
Who were you a
conversion.
fan of originally?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah, I
that's
can't
fair.
believe that.
You're
That's
not
fair.
giving up on anybody.
Yeah. You know what, J-Hawk?
I grew up, my dad was more or less just an SEC guy.
Okay.
My mom and my brother are Kentucky guys.
Oh,
and gals.
and gals.
And I did not want to go that route.
Good save.
You know what? Smartest man
Good
in your
job.
family right now.
That was very smart.
Smartest
Justin.
man. Unless it was Kentucky basketball. My wife's grandmother, she said, was a big time UK basketball fan.
Who isn't? I feel like all these people like that are just not fans of a team. They're
Yeah.
fans of Kentucky
Yeah, you'll
basketball.
attach
I rubbed it in their face.
That's why you rub
for
it.
you.
And you're a real one. They got us twice as you. I can't even trash talk no more. But we got them
You got them in the
last.
tournament.
got when it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can absolutely
You
trash
got them
talk.
when it counted the
I don't know what you're talking
most.
about.
Ah, yes.
When have you ever
man.
missed a chance to really trash talk when we have the opportunity to?
Yes, that pleases me, man. I'll be quite honest
absolutely.
with y'all.
Kentucky is on the mind.
Yes, it is. He said in the off season, 100%. Real question is, every time y'all open up y'all Twitter or your Instagram, does Nico Iamaleava pop up?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Twitter, yes. Not really as much, though, honestly. Beat Real Madrid yesterday. It's in the Champions League semifinals. That's kind of the only thing
Big
popping
day.
up for me
He's
right
got
now.
a
Big
different
day, right?
Yeah,
algorithm.
very big day. Very big. I went dark for about 2.5 hours yesterday. It was a good time.
Nothing wrong with that.
Very good time.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all.
A lot of Nico stuff, though. Expected to commit to UCLA. ESPN's Chris Lowe saying, not yet. Hasn't happened yet. Officially, the Athletic running with it, Colin Cowherd running with it. And now the buzz out there is that the offensive system is why Nico is transferring. We're going to dive into some of the numbers about that coming up here in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get more into it. Fascinating approach. I don't wonder about the bread. We'll see more than anything at the next level what happens with Nico. I think that's his biggest test more than anything moving forward, man.
Yeah.
Good on them for getting back to the West Coast, maybe, if it goes all the way through. But I could not open up my phone at all if it wasn't, even on Instagram. It was like some aggregated accounts that I didn't even follow. It was just suggestions and stuff. But every time I opened up, I was this close to muting the word Nico on a lot of other platforms. I'm like, all right.
It's
I ain't
everywhere.
Trying to be overloaded.
It's only the beginning.
It's
Is it?
Because every
wild.
practice report, every missed throw that
Sure.
he makes on a video is going to be celebrated by Tennessee fans for the rest of his short-term career. I won't say forever.
Yeah.
But I had a buddy text me yesterday and say, I'm almost more excited to hate watch UCLA than I am to watch Tennessee next year. And we got a comment on YouTube that says, I will be glad when we never have to hear Nico again. Oh, this is only the beginning. I mean, it'll die down a little bit, I guess, once Tennessee gets its new guy and he gets settled a little bit. No, we're not just going to leave Nico in the dust. This is going to be a story we follow for a long time, like it or not.
I'm just fascinated to see what happens because he's not going to. I do not think UCLA is going to pay him what he was supposedly asking for. On top of that, now the camp's saying, like Will said, that the offense doesn't prepare you for the next level. And there's been mixed reviews on that, whatever. But offense in college, they're all over the board. And it's what you do as a quarterback that matters. It's how you take control of the situation and better yourself so that, these scouts and these GMs and coaches can look at you and be like, okay, you could fit somewhere.
Yeah.
Cam Ward's a perfect example of that. Playing, in different offenses, maybe wouldn't fit a Brian Callahan scheme traditionally or system. And it looks like they're taking a guy like that. So that shouldn't ever matter. And by the way, you're going to UCLA now, a team that's kind of rejuvenating itself. It's not, they're trying to rejuvenate. That's my
offensive
point.
coordinator.
New offense coordinator,
Gino
but
Sinceri.
it's going to take some time, man. And they're in the Big Ten now. They've got a pretty difficult schedule coming up.
UCLA really is the little brother of the West Coast,
Yeah.
though, right? In
To
LA, from what I've
USC.
heard. I had
Oh,
a
yeah.
guy that I played with, Zach Banner. He ended up going to USC. He was like, man, I was real close to going to UCLA. He was like, but I just can go to the little spoiled kids down there. Like, he's the one that called UCLA spoiled kids. And
They're both spoiled.
They made it seem, I know, which is crazy. Both of them are high educational institutions. He was like, that nerd school. I'm like, Banner, USC is a very high, like, educational school.
Right.
And what are you talking about? But there's a real hate, which is kind of cool, I guess, on the West Coast. They don't have that too often.
They hate each other.
Yeah.
They just don't go to the games.
Exactly.
UCLA has Utah, UNLV on the road, New Mexico, Northwestern. So
That's
easy
fine.
4-game start. Penn State comes to the Rose Bowl. Michigan State on the road. Maryland at home. At Indiana. Nebraska at home. Ohio State on the road. Washington at home. And at USC. So
not a breeze.
backloaded schedule.
Yeah.
A lot of question marks for many of those teams, but they also have a lot of question marks.
Utah opener is a big question mark.
Utah's still Utah. I mean, they weren't as good last year,
They always
but
fizzle
they're
out at
always
the
gonna they're always gonna find a way to, win a pretty good amount of games. I don't think that's easy to start the season.
Yeah. I'd also heard a couple rumors too. It's just, I see somebody put in there, Colts fan. Well, how'd you find us? But somebody put in there, he heard it's only be like 1.5.
Wow.
Some had got back to me that it may be some under the table stuff too, which is weird. It shouldn't have to be under the table in this world
That's
of
ridiculous.
NIL. So maybe that's them trying to, sweeten their public, I guess, negotiating to say, hey, yeah, we're only getting this, but we're also potentially getting this under the table. That makes no sense to me, though.
Yeah, nothing's confirmed that he's even going there. So I don't think there's anything confirmed about price for Nico at UCLA because he's not committed yet, according to a couple of reputable people. So apparently it is nearing a conclusion, but is not yet done. I don't know. We'll dive into the numbers, though, on why the family's most recent claim is pretty ridiculous. Nico Iamaleava expected to commit to UCLA for not money reasons, but there's more lies being told within this entire saga. The latest in that story coming up next.
It's Ramon and Kayla here for Window Nation. Good people, man, it's April, and it's a great time to spruce up around your house, especially during Window Nation Buy 4, Get 4 free sale going on right now. Kayla's going to tell you, too, also, man, but listen to me. You can pay nothing until 2027. If you buy a house full of windows, they will include a free entry door, too, Kayla.
That is right. Window Nation's windows, they frequently outperform and outlast ones from all those expensive guys. You can save money every month on cooling and heating all year long. People are talking about Window Nation right now. One of their customers says, great value, great product, great customer service, highly recommended. And Moan said it right now, get 4 windows free and get 4 windows free and with every 4 you buy. So that's a heck of a deal right now. So go ahead and trust our friends from Window Nation. Get in on a deal now, 866-90-NATION, or simply go online to windownation.com.
Thursday morning show underway in hour number one. This is RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, 615-737-1045. So it's always odd when people that don't major in college football start reporting major college football news. So I'm not against it, but I do side-eye it a little bit. And the report comes from The Athletic yesterday after Fox Sports host Colin Cowherd reported that Nico Iamaleava to UCLA was a, quote, done deal shortly after he hit the transfer portal with a do not contact tag. Cowherd added him Iamaleava's decision was not about money, but rather the scheme at Tennessee. Tennessee averaged 35.7 points per game last year. UCLA averaged 18.4 points per game. It has new offensive coordinator Tino Sunseri, whose first play he calls this year will be the first that he has ever called as an offensive coordinator. Yeah. Narrator, it was never the scheme. Yeah.
The scheme, also, you knew the scheme if you did your research. And like his family has been very thorough in trying to figure out what's going to work best for him. Whenever you were being recruited there, whenever you accepted the money to come to the University of Tennessee, you also knew this too. I felt like even last year, speaking of the scheme, like the routes may not have been the way you wanted them to be, but here's what I will say. The pace of the offense last year, watching it, was dramatically slower. I thought that they were trying to give Nico the opportunity to get his bearings underneath him, figure out where and how to go where with the football. There was a quote that I also saw, too, is speaking of him, it was this spring. It alluded to the fact that, look, he's just getting his feet underneath him. He's learning the offense more and more, and the more you do that, the more the offense offers up to you also to be able to operate within it. That was a quote from him pretty much in context. Just really summarized what he said for the most part, but it sounded like he was getting the offense more. Now, I think there are some components of this offense that Coach Heupel, still needs to grow legs with. Mm-hmm. I think having, just that 5-yard stop, all right, yeah, give me a little bit more there. But here's what you do as a quarterback when you have that level of maturity, or just, hey, Coach, can we add more slants to the offense? Can we bring the guys in a little bit more? I still want and like the pace, but I want to be able to expand my route tree a little bit more. These are the conversations that mature players that have a lot of confidence in what they are doing ask the coaches. It was time even in college. Coach would ask us, hey, what y'all want to do, Coach? We much rather do gap scheme this week. Coach, man, I think we're a little bit better doing inside zone against this group right here. Coach, I don't really like that protection. I don't like how you have us popping out. These are the communication tactics, well, I guess normal communication efforts that you give to your coaches in these moments. And I get the offense. I get the perception of it. But I've seen your quarterbacks really put themselves in position where they know they need to be successful, and it doesn't seem like they explored that as much as they want to allude to.
I think it's now, one of those situations for the Iamaleava camp that we've got to make ourselves look better for our son, right? Because the son is he's taking the hits. I know Nick Iamaleava is as well, but when it's all said and done, Nico's the one that's playing the game. He's the one that is trying to find another home. Yeah. He's the one that's going to be on the field wherever he ends up going. So he's going to be the one that needs to be protected in the end. And so for them to come out and kind of now back down and say, oh, well, it's actually the offense. We're really not like wanting that $4 million. Also, I think a big part of that has to do with now, guys, because I think they know they're not going to get it if he goes to any other school. Right now, it's more so probably UCLA, but we don't know that for sure. But it's also making maybe them look better, too, if they're like, well, we didn't ask for $4 million. This is more so of an offensive problem. And you know why I think that that's part of the whole plan of them maybe looking better in this all? Because it was a conversation last year. The offense, and not as, I guess, I don't want to say productive, but not as great it had been 2 years prior, right, when Hendon Hooker was here. And even we questioned on this show, should they be doing some tweaks and here and there, the personnel, like, do you bring in some more wide receivers from the transfer portal? And we've heard Brent Hubbs and Austin Price say on the show that they've actually tweaked a little bit.
They made a lot of tweaks last year.
Yeah, and this year in the spring game, or in spring practice, I should say, there's been tweaks. They aren't going to completely redo the offense, but there's been tweaks that have been made. And part of, the NIL world too, guys, is you're going to have to kind of make do with some of the guys you have as a quarterback. You've got to make them better because you're the one that's getting paid all the money here. Oh. You've got to improve your offense too and do your part. So I don't buy this whole offense thing when it comes down to it.
Yeah, they made major tweaks last year too. I mean, the two tight ends, the lack of tempo, and a lot of times the different pin and pull schemes they were running the run game. Like they got Dylan Sampson a lot of yards and one of the best seasons in Tennessee history by making a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Austin Stanley, A to Z Sports, they've been on the kind of the front of the story as well and had some good stuff. Austin puts out yesterday on his Twitter, there is truth that Nico's camp was frustrated with the offense, but my intel pointed to that frustration being about offensive line / wide receiver personnel and an assistant coach. Tennessee didn't do enough to make Nico's camp comfortable, so more money was demanded. I think the other issue with this is, like, Nico knew what that personnel was in December. And again, all of this could have been better for him and for Tennessee if he had just gone ahead and made this decision in December. And I think now we're getting new reporting and new intel that this was Nico's plan all along, to just go through spring and then transfer. Well, that's the dumbest thing you could possibly do. And if he had anyone who was not a family member advising him in all of this, like if he had an actual agent that was telling him how he should proceed, then they would have told him to enter the portal in December. Because you would have had Colorado, who is a bidder for quarterbacks. You would have had every SEC team that would have been calling you. Auburn, likely, would have been interested in you. Oklahoma could have been interested in you. I mean, like every school not named Florida and South Carolina in the SEC, low-key would have been interested in Nico Iamaleava. So that's the understanding I'm starting to get is, this was just the plan all along. Well, then just do it in December. That's the weird thing that I still can't understand. You knew who you were going to be blocking or who was going to be blocking for you and throwing to in December. And what did they do in the December portal? They actually got you two of the best interior offensive linemen in the portal and the number one tackle in the country out of high school in David Sanders. So, again, more reason to prove that Nico Iamaleava has some very unintelligent people telling him things. And I'm not afraid to say it. Unintelligent people telling him to do very unintelligent things for his future, and now they're going to lose a lot of money in the process.
I just think there's so much control there, and we've heard other reports from when the dad left campus for a while. He kind of grew as a player from Adam Sparks, right? Who does a great job over there in Knoxville. But here's the other thing why it doesn't match up, that offensive, like get me more offensive linemen or I need better wide receivers or whatever. Now you're going to a place, like Will said, you're entering the transfer portal now. Yeah. It's the latest you could enter it, and it doesn't give you many options. But then you're going to a place possibly in UCLA. This offense is going to be all new. He mentioned the hiring of, who was it again? Tino Sinceri at UCLA. Yeah. He was the co-coordinator offensively over there at Indiana and quarterbacks coach, but calling plays for the first time. And you talk about the offensive line, they hired a new offensive line coach as well, who's pretty much on the up and up. This is like a younger guy. I had his name up here, and I don't know how I just clicked out of it. It is Andy Quan, excuse me. And he came over from, I think, Arkansas State. He's younger. He hasn't had a ton of experience in terms of coaching an offensive line. They're rolling their dice on a lot of young and up-and-coming coaches. And obviously the talent isn't as great there right now at UCLA. So that doesn't line up either.
So there's a connection to the same Indiana offense that Curt Cignetti coaches at Indiana? Is that what it is? Because isn't that the same style or similar to what Heupel is running to? Pretty much space you out and area you out.
I'd say it's identical, but it's...
there's similarities, though.
Yeah, it's similarities. Is what we'll call it.
It's not the same tempo.
Right.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing. The tempo last year was a little bit slowed down. And there's also times to where, for me, I'll give Nico grace in saying, you know what? I expected a bigger jump from year one to year two as a starter. I felt like we saw that with Hendon. I just don't think they thoroughly thought this through enough to say, hey, this will be better. I will grow in this offense. I'll become a better player in this offense, too. And so the portions that they bring up as far as, the coaches, I think it's, the offensive line coach he had a problem with because he mentions wide receivers and he mentioned the offensive line, if that's where their issue starts right there. Now, there's speculation of how close LOB and Heupel is also. But here's the thing, though, too. Every coach on that mans a team, that has a team, has their guy. You have to have your guys that you say, you know what? I'm not going to let go of them. philosophies and how you talk and speak to those coaches and what you demand of them needs to be the same for everybody across the board. But here's what I would say about the report that came out yesterday, and I think it's come up before. Hey, Nico had a couple concussions. Nico had 2 cracked helmets in a game. Let me say this. That's what the money's for.
It's also why you get rid of the ball more quickly.
I'll also say this, too. Everybody that plays quarterback got a little something dirty about their job, too. I'm not advocating to say, hey, your kids should get hurt. What I'm saying is this. We playing football in the SEC. Awareness, one, that's part of it, too. I don't think on those hits, Nico was in a position where he just got blinded by them and just took it. I think one of them was a run, an Ohio State game, and the other one I felt like, was it Mississippi State or Georgia?
Mississippi State.
Mississippi
Got hurt in that game and had to come out.
And wasn't it a run on that one?
Yes,
too?
it was a run.
So, Coach, listen to me. My boys play football. I play football. Y'all know I tell y'all all the time, I wouldn't change much.
Right.
This comes with the job. We can't let them excuse themselves from what football is what I would say on that point. Football is played that way. Okay? Ryan Tanner, everybody's. Mason Rudolph, I saw his face go sideways in his helmet. Like, this comes with that job, too. It's not many offensive lines that's just going to keep you clean, especially in college. So I just want to go that route real quick and say, look, this is a part of the game.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's no doubt about it. I mean, when you're initiating a lot of that contact, that's not on the offensive line. It's very interesting. So Grant Ramey put this together at VolQuest.com talking about the schemes for Tennessee. Nico Iamaleava is Josh Heupel's least productive quarterback as a play caller. Last season, Nico, 2,616 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That is the least amount of yards by a Josh Heupel quarterback since Kent Myers and Chucky Keaton put together at Utah State in 2015. Joe Milton had 2,800 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Hendon Hooker, 3,135 yards, 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in 2022. In 2021, Hendon, 2,945 yards, 31 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He didn't even start the whole season that year. Didn't start the Pittsburgh game, came in late in that one. Didn't start the Bowling Green game, came in later in that one in 2021. Dylan Gabriel, 2019 and 2020 at UCF. Over 3,500 yards both of those seasons. Over 29 touchdowns in both those seasons. Just 4 picks in 2020, 7 picks in 2019. Maybe the problem was Nico. And here's the thing. When you're the $8 million quarterback, it's kind of like when we pay quarterbacks a lot of money in the NFL and we have to tell ourselves as fan bases, all right, you got to make it work with lesser paid receivers, with guys that are not as proven commodities, because you're taking a lot of the salary cap. And I know there's not a salary cap in college football yet, but there is still, like there is in baseball, an amount of money that you have to spend. And none of that is limitless for any team in college football other than maybe Ohio State in 2024. But when Nico takes that amount of money, you're accepting that as you proceed, that money's going to you. You got to elevate some guys that are not on $2 million. You got to elevate some $200,000 receivers, $100,000 receivers. I don't care what they're getting paid. That's just economics. That's simple math. If I'm getting all of this, that's less for everyone else. I've got to be the guy. And last season, while showing a lot of potential, Nico was good. He was not great. He was not an $8 million quarterback over 4 years.
No, absolutely not. And that's the other side too. So here's where I'm at. Well, it felt like Nico's been paid this contract out to you point about the $8 million for like the last 3+ years or so. If he was getting close to 2.5, 2.2, one, that deal was gonna run out this fall anyway. Right? I think the 8 is probably was going to have been paid up by now anyway.
You're going to need to do a new deal with him after this next season.
Yes.
If he was going to stay around.
Staying,
Exactly.
Which I think he's probably going to have to play more than just 1 year of college football.
I believe so. And that's the part of it, too, like as a business, because that's what we're talking about at this point. This is a business in a sense. As a business, you got to say to yourself, what have you given us to allow us to give you an increase if that was the case? And also this, too, the demands. Like, did you, if there was an issue of who you wanted and where you wanted us to get them from as far as the transfer portal, did y'all voice this? Did y'all actually say this? Did you give coaches names? Hey, there's a guy at App State that I want. Hey, there's a guy at Clemson I've been talking to that we need to go get. Because from what, who was it? Austin Price told us on Tuesday, Nico wasn't a big part of the recruiting of bringing guys in.
Correct.
He was not, like,
And
from my understanding.
A quarterback should be.
He should be champion number one.
He just didn't know a lot of the prospects because he's from such a different part of the country than most of the other prospects Tennessee was recruiting.
Very true. But on that same side of this current draft, I said draft class, this current freshman class that comes in too, from my understanding, George and David Sanders had a real strong relationship.
Yes.
From my understanding, George and Radarius Jackson had a very strong relationship. And that's also happening with the young fella that's being recruited right now out of
Faison Brandon.
Faison Brandon.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, these are guys. I'm not trying to minimize, but what I am seeing is this reports that are also saying Nico ability and availability wasn't there as it pertains to his NIL and being around his teammates. Now, all of this comes out after the fact because we love who we love. We're in a relationship with them. So I get some people go, y'all didn't say that then, but here's what we do know now. More people talk, more people expose more stuff. If he wasn't a crucial part of the recruiting to go get guys, then how can you ask for guys also?
You brought up an interesting point, and I say this knowing the Polynesian population on the West Coast in those Pac-12 schools when I went to school there, right? We had a lot of Polynesian football guys up at Washington State even.
Absolutely, West Coast.
They kind of, because their families are so close, and we've revealed this, and you've talked about it with how your teammates with the Steelers that are of Polynesian descent, it's very close-knit, right?
Very close.
And I wonder, too, guys, like how much maybe just with all of this other stuff that went along with it, the family wanting to go back and be closer to that side where they're from, where they've got all their people around. And again, I don't know how much Nico has to do with this, but even Will had mentioned, not feeling as connected to maybe some of the guys or knowing the guys and that comfortability. It does seem like he, in a way, not was an outsider, but didn't feel like collectively like the leader of the team that rallied everybody. And not saying he's not a good guy or a good player or a good leader, but it's almost like there was the environment part too that could play in to why they decided to leave as well with all the other stuff that goes into it. Yeah. I'm curious because if they go to UCLA, that's the only option I know right now. But I'll be the first to say I thought Nico was going to be good last year. And I even said he could be a Heisman candidate. And I don't want to go back and say that I didn't say that because I did say that. And so I'm going to give him a second to show if he can do something at another school. But I do pump the brakes a little bit now, knowing some of the other things that came into play with putting the blame on Tennessee completely. Yeah. But I don't want to say he can't do it at another place.
Yeah. The family part of it to me and the culture side, like, you adapt. Like, legitimately.
Tennessee's got a lot of Polynesian talent that has never had this issue.
Yeah, and to your point, like, I get what you're saying, like, moving back to the West Coast, but, like, here's the thing, like, it happens on professional teams, those guys come. Like, Notre Dame's got a huge influence over there. Penn State does, too. Like, there's a lot of schools that this isn't an abnormal type of thing. Like,
location got a ton of Polynesian players on that roster right now.
I think it's more of business. Like, I kind of want to separate that one from my understanding, too. Like, the ones that are in the know of, their culture, just a little bit just uneasy about the perception of this, too. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because it's making it seem like they're not as loyal or whatever the case may have been. And here's the thing, too. I know black folks that are like this. I know white folks that are like this, too. I know mixed folks who are very much like this. Like, this isn't a thing. Like, from my understanding, David Sanders and his family are close, are tight. Everything goes through their family on how they make decisions. So this isn't an abnormal thing. I look at this and say, this is business.
Commenter on YouTube says he wouldn't be saying he was the problem if he didn't leave. I don't think anyone's saying he was the problem. I think he did hold Tennessee's offense back a little bit last year. If you watch the games, you saw him miss a lot of throws. Yeah. I still think he's good. Like, I still will stand on the table and say I think he's a top 10 quarterback in college football. Like, I think he has got a supreme level of talent that did not come together because he wasn't asked to do a ton last year. And when he was asked to complete deep passes, he didn't. No. He was far from perfect, but that offense was far from perfect. I mean, Lance Hurd, the second half of the season was great. Yeah. First half of the season was not. And we also got a comment of, well, they still need to fire Glenn Ellerbe. You don't fire the offensive line coach that got that offensive line a lot better. and then recruited the number one offensive lineman in the country last year. That was a narrative I was willing to entertain through week 6, but week 6 isn't the total evaluation process.
Yeah, for sure. This is it's a bad business deal, I feel like, right now. He has the opportunity to turn this thing around for them. My thing is this. The ultimate goal is always go to the NFL. He got to stop focusing on the talent around him, because think about this. Cam Ward's in a position right now with the Titans. Right? Mm-hmm. Legitimately, is not a full cupboard here. So we're gonna make it. Are we gonna make excuses for him? Like, it's
he's never made an
it.
excuse.
No, I'm just saying in general. Like, this. What I'm saying is sometimes you just got to be in it because it's a privilege to be in it also, no matter your surrounding parts. It's dudes that come from smaller schools that find their ways to the top. Like, you create your own pathway in college and in the NFL. This is a lot of...
It's never easy as you think, even if you're a 5-star.
It's a lot
like
of
Nico.
excuse making to me when you really boil down to it, is the way I view this situation.
Sometimes I try to tease topics and like hide a little bit of it to like see, like get you on the hook. There's no way to do this next topic without just totally giving it away. So I'm just going to read this headline and tell you we've got it for you next. East Tennessee pastor rescued from kidnapping, upset to learn of Nico Iamaleava transfer. We'll play you some incredible audio coming up next. Thursday morning, wrap it up. Hour 1 on RKW 104.5 The Zone. So I've not heard this audio yet, but I am told it is pretty amazing. So there is a pastor who was kidnapped, and now he is talking to media about how when he was rescued, he was upset about Nico Iamaleava. So this is Fellowship Baptist Church pastor Tom Hatley from East Tennessee, I believe right around Maryville, talking to WVLT TV, the CBS affiliate, Channel 8 there in Knoxville, and had this to say after being rescued about Nico Iamaleava.
He was upset over Nico.
On that FaceTime?
No, he didn't say it on FaceTime. What was said was the missionary that was there that was helping and got him picked up and so forth is a big Georgia Bulldog fan. And they were instructed to do small talk when they first get him, small talk. Just don't talk about nothing serious, just small talk. So he said, well, Nico left, don't you? And his wife told me last night, said the biggest conversation we've had has been about Nico. Hey, the boy was raised in East Tennessee. What can I tell you? And you notice on a lot of posts, he's wearing, Tennessee hats, Tennessee shirts. I mean, he's a big fan. And I'll give him something else here. If Josh Heupel is listening to me, or the athletic director, Danny White, let's get this man in to see the team. Let's let him run through the tee. Let's do something because he deserves it.
All right, that's enough, Justin. So that's pretty funny. That's Tom Hatley is talking about Josh Sullivan. Josh Sullivan is the East Tennessee pastor who was rescued. I got the facts wrong a little bit on that. So Sullivan was abducted by gunmen while preaching late last week, was rescued after being held in a house 20 minutes from his Baptist church. And that is one of his friends saying, right when he got rescued, he was pretty upset about Nico.
It just means more.
Oh, my God, that is so wild.
It just means more, man.
That's crazy.
What a wild story.
It just means more. So if the pastor who was abducted was upset, can you imagine? He is hurt, man.
Right?
He is absolutely hurt. Nico, you meant the world to these people, man. We had plans for you, dog. What are we doing? That is good.
I'm surprised I didn't even hear that story.
Yeah.
Happened over the weekend.
Yeah,
robbed at gunpoint. Yeah, I didn't see
crazy.
that story.
Yeah,
and then to
kidnapped.
involve, of course, it's got to involve Nico.
Some
in
football, man. Yeah, absolutely good.
It is funny, though. When I lived in Knoxville, my family would always joke about this, that the church we went to, if Tennessee had won the day before, I lived in Knoxville for 1 year when I was in second grade, then we moved back. The 1 year I lived there, the result of the football game the day before would often make its way into the message. Often. It really does just mean more. It's pretty crazy. So, Tennessee pastor was kidnapped at gunpoint in South Africa after a shootout to rescue him. He contacts family at home. One of the first things that he reacted to in speaking to his church after the rescue, Nico.
You know what?
Incredible.
And I guarantee he prayed for him, too.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
For sure.
I guarantee he prayed for him,
Now
man.
he's praying for a new quarterback.
Yes.
I wonder if he was preaching about the prodigal son that morning.
Right, according to Shannon Terry on that one,
Damn.
too. Man, listen, that right there is something that I did not expect to come across my timeline today, man. That is pretty good. He says he's a good old boy from East Tennessee, care about his Vols. I absolutely.
Yeah, let him run out of the tee.
Love
Let's
that.
go.
No, he deserves to.
Yeah.
100%. He deserves
Absolutely.
to. Not on the basis of why he was
Right.
asking about Tennessee, but I think that was everybody's shocker going into it, too.
Johnny is in the boroughs, 615-737-1045. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, good morning, guys. It looks like it might be another beautiful day here in Nashville. Hey, I got a few comments I got to throw at Ramon. So, Ramon, I feel like everything nowadays, especially college football, it's all about production. Nico was 8th in passing yards, 7th in passing touchdowns. This is all in the SEC. Mm-hmm. He had 0 games with 300 yards, and he only had 4 with 200. Now, here's my thing. This is my opinion, but I think giving an 18 to 20-year-old millions of dollars is kind of the big mistake with NIL deals. If you think about it, he could have had $100,000 for 20 years. So here's my question. Do you think trying to get money now for Nico is kind of the important thing because maybe he might not get a big bag in the NFL? What's your thoughts on that?
Thank you, Johnny.
Thanks, Johnny.
Stephen Godfrey made that exact same point yesterday.
I think that does play a part in it. You know what? And Cam Newton, by the way, had an awesome response to it yesterday, too. It was actually, no, I ain't going to say it was actually. Cam does some good stuff. It was really good. It was him saying, this money isn't supposed to be for you to just change your entire life. This money is supposed to make your college experience comfortable. That's the genesis of what this is supposed to be. Look, I tell the story all the time. I couldn't go home on Christmas break one year. That's what, $250 maybe for a Greyhound bus ticket back in that day? Like, that's what this money is supposed to be for. Like, yes, your valuation plays a part in it too. But if you are him, one of those types of guys, and you can suggest and demand a certain amount of money, but your goal, if you're that good, Johnny, is to make it to the next level. This is to facilitate those things. Like, part of your negotiation shouldn't be, hey, let me also get me a Benz while I'm at it too. And you know what? That Benz got to be returned back in when I leave school. No, ownership of your vehicles if you're in that position right there, man. Like, that to me, I think is where a lot of people have lost the purpose of what this is supposed to be about too. I agree with Cam Newton on this one. This is supposed to be the first step to the next bigger step. And when you are negotiating like this and you have all these wants and needs and you think you're supposed to be living like a pro guy right now, that's not how it works. Like, a lot of these guys, too, aren't even rooming together. They don't stay in the same apartment complexes. You don't find a natural bond between these guys to work. What was college for all of us?
Nico was off campus even.
It's a lot. And not just him.
No,
there's a lot
but I'm just
of
saying,
them. Yeah,
like, he was
off
reportedly
campus.
off campus. Yeah.
In his own house. Like, part of growing up and maturing is dorm life. Hey, what we got $5 to get some pizza, or you know what? Matter of fact, we can still go to Roof Chris.
Y'all want to walk to PCB?
Camaraderie in that way.
And I think a lot of that with the money has been made, like, has somewhat taken away the essence of it. I will say that.
That's a great point.
Like, this is supposed to make college comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not supposed to be pro football yet.
Right.
It's supposed to prepare you for pro football.
It's supposed to.
So do these types of lessons, unfortunately, some players will have bigger lessons to learn than others, but this is probably one of the biggest that we've seen. Now it's like, okay, how do you respond from this? Because it can be a teaching lesson for Nico, but his family and his people have got to let him learn from it.
But I would also charge coaches in recruiting and the NILs too.
Yeah.
Form those as coaches of those relationships.
Find ways to still build that level of camaraderie. Because let's face it, on the front end, like, let's use the other really high-profile Tennessee recruit that's being courted right now in basketball.
Yeah.
Like, Nate Ament is a number 3 overall player in the country. If he wants his own house, he gets his own house. That guy is a program-changing player. So it's not the fact that he's going to get a non-traditional college experience. That doesn't have to be a problem. I think for some it is.
For some, it is.
And I think you have to find other ways as coaches to facilitate and foster, no pun intended, that level of camaraderie and growth and development in your team in other ways, because these guys don't live together on campus like they used to. Like, Tennessee's got a rule that you have to live on campus as a freshman, true freshman, no questions asked. I'm guessing that maybe sometimes that gets circumvented if you are on the football team.
But if your negotiations also, look, I need somebody to golf cart me to every class.
Right.
I need somebody.
Right.
I'm only taking online
too.
classes. I'm only doing
You're excluding yourself from a lot.
And then what's my driven purpose at that point? Is it to actually be great at football, or is it to be great at getting money?
615-737-1045 is our number. We've got updates on Tennessee's next move at quarterback. There is one name off the board for the Vols, and another that I'm ready to put on the board for Tennessee at quarterback next.
7:01 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. Former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava is expected to commit to UCLA, as first reported by Fox Sports' Colin Cowherd, saying, quote, "It's a done deal." Iamaleava entered the spring transfer portal, reportedly looking for a new NIL deal worth $4 million per year. But the deal with UCLA is expected to be just north of $1 million. Cowherd added that Iamaleava's decision was not just about the money, but more so about Tennessee's offense. And in hockey, last night, the Nashville Predators concluded their disappointing 2024-25 season on a positive note as they beat the Dallas Stars 5-1 at Bridgestone Arena on Fan Appreciation Night. The Predators head to the offseason with the third best odds to win the NHL Draft Lottery for the first overall pick at 11.5%. Just the San Jose Sharks and Chicago Blackhawks have better odds. And in the NBA last night, the play-in games continued. In the East, the Miami Heat beat the Chicago Bulls 109-90, and they'll face the Atlanta Hawks for the 8th seed and final spot in the Eastern Conference playoffs Friday night. And to the West, the Dallas Mavericks beat the Sacramento Kings 120-106, and they'll face the Memphis Grizzlies for the 8th seed and final spot in the Western Conference playoffs tomorrow night. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW 104.5 The Zone is brewed by Scooters Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Make sure you download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. You can celebrate Friday a day early with a warm cinnamon roll. It's going to make your Thursday so much more enjoyable. That little extra giddy up in your step will be powered by Scooters Coffee as well. 615-737-1045 is our number if you want to get in on the discussion. Guys, there are names already coming off the board for quarterback of the Tennessee Volunteers. Avery Johnson, according to reporters in Kansas, off the board. Staying at Kansas State, potentially getting a new deal, but was never going to humor Tennessee's advances. The reporting from Kansas State reporters and On3. And then a frog. We're going to talk with the frog coming up in 15 minutes and Coach Dave McGinnis. But Josh Hoover is not entering the transfer portal. His representatives told On3 on Wednesday afternoon. That decision comes amidst rumors of Hoover being a potential target for Tennessee. I had heard that. I think many people had heard that. But again, who is hearing what is based off of often representatives. Yeah. And doesn't mean Tennessee ever reached out. It might mean that representatives reached out just to get their guy more money. But we can at least cross Josh Hoover, the TCU quarterback, off the board.
That's a great time of the year for any quarterback that is thinking about it to get a pay raise. I'm talking about easily get a pay raise right now, man, because, again, this hasn't happened to this extent to any universities just now. And to have a university like Tennessee looking for another quarterback, you love it to be a starter. But here's the thing, too. This is why I think you find a lot of his teammates and just fans upset with the Nico situation, too, is – yeah, you have the right to hop in the portal. The system is broken at this point. There is no other way around it. There is no franchise quarterback right now that's getting shipped off, right? Even on the NFL side of things, like there's an exchange of contract and, hey, the player wants out. Like the team has to allow that, not the player. This time, the system allows the player to make those decisions. Now, here he is committed to the whole spring practice, right, with that group of guys, and you bail.
That's the timing thing. I know we've said it a million times, but this is why it's like the worst thing they could have done. It hurts Tennessee. It hurts Nico in the long run. Nobody benefits from the timing of any of this. Yeah. And it doesn't really help Tennessee either when they're going in the portal and looking for some of these guys. You just mentioned a couple names there. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're far along in what they're about to do, too, with their season, because a lot of them have finished their spring games and have wrapped up spring practices. And, you know, if you're getting a decent amount of money in those places and you could maybe leverage a little for a bit of a raise. Why jump now? It's just like that does still mean something.
Mm-hmm.
These kids still want to go and have success from the start of the season, and it hurts them if they're doing that late, jumping in the portal.
No doubt.
There are a lot of names out there that Tennessee fans are attaching themselves to. Rocco Becht at Iowa State is another guy who I've not seen publicly get a new deal yet. And maybe he won't. Maybe he is the guy, and I think he is at the top of a lot of wish lists, including mine. We heard Stephen Godfrey yesterday mention Jalen Daniels, the quarterback at Kansas, who is a dynamic runner and more of an athlete akin to a Hendon Hooker type that you could be bringing in. Let me add another name to the list, though, because if Nico Iamaleava is going to UCLA, Joey Aguilar, former Appalachian State quarterback, is going to need a new home, in my opinion. 2 seasons at Diablo Valley Community College in Central California. He is an Antioch, California native who has talked to the media about how he was excited to go play back home at UCLA. Well, the other dark side of all of this is that Nico probably just took his spot. I would be very interested if I was Tennessee and Joey Aguilar, who in 2023 was the Sun Belt Newcomer of the Year, leading App State to a 9-5 record. Mountaineers were not as good last year, 5-6 last season. His production dipped, but Joey Aguilar completed 56% of his passes for 3,003 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Because of the Diego Pavia ruling, he gets another season of eligibility because he was a JUCO product as well. Joey Aguilar was reportedly signing for UCLA for over $1 million for a victory lap season in his home state, playing for the Bruins. His starting spot has now been taken, not quite officially, but we presume has been taken by Nico Iamaleava. Would you be interested in Joey Aguilar being the next Tennessee Volunteers quarterback?
If it means depth and experience and a veteran, yeah, I'll take him. Absolutely. At this point, the options are low. I'm not sure what kind of player. I'd be lying to y'all if I said I knew what kind of player he was. I don't. But what I say is this. If you got an opportunity to go get a guy that wants to come in and potentially play, here's your opportunity. I've been of the mindset, and I heard Swain say it yesterday, too. Jason Swain that was on with us, what was that, Tuesday, I'm guessing? Either way. You can't go into this season with this much inexperience with Jake Merklinger and George McIntyre. Now, if you start with Merklinger and you have the ability to let Joey Aguilar grow a little bit and he pull a Hendon Hooker over Joe Milton, hey, let's go see what it looks like. I get that idea. I still am of the mindset, let's roll with who we brought in here in a sense. But you do have to have that security blanket, and I think Joey Aguilar could be one of those types of guys.
Right, and they've said it. You need 3 quarterbacks in the room. So you're going to have to go get a guy. Now, whether or not you're going to identify that guy as a starter, that's the big question. Because you hit the nail on the head. If this is the best option, I think Joey Aguilar could be definitely brought in here as let him compete, absolutely, but also bring him in to have some veteran leadership because he's been around the block. As Will mentioned, he's a junior college transfer. I read a great article on him, how he's really been always motivated by the underdog role. In a way, kind of similar to Cam Ward.
Here he is getting crapped on again with Nico.
Exactly. And I was reading he was outstanding coming out of high school. However, he was only tabbed a 3-star. So he had no offers.
I was a 3-star.
Right, but he had no offers. Okay, right? And so he went to the JC route and kind of cut his teeth. Y'all know what JC football is. Yeah, man, it is grimy. It is grimy. And then got the option to go to App State, and Will listed those numbers. But if that's the best option out there right now, I'd say I'm okay with bringing in a guy like this who has a little tenacity, has a little chip on the shoulder. Let him compete. No worst comes to worst, you have one of these younger quarterbacks that start.
I agree.
I think he would start. Joey Aguilar, if you bring him in, you're bringing him in to be the starting quarterback. That's not going to be the case for maybe everyone on the board, but for him specifically, he's coming in on a big NIL money amount to be QB1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you paying him over $1 million. I mean, it's got to translate over. He's paying over $1 million to make that move right there. So if classes translate over, because I know UCLA or what was the Pac-12, they have different class structure, blocks versus semesters. So it'd be fascinating.
Yeah, and I do think that is more of a challenge maybe sometimes than people think it is.
No, for real.
I think the ability of credits to transfer over is sometimes, I think, something from what I've talked to people about, you learn late in the process, and that can be a tiebreaker between two schools.
Like we forgot about all that
Yeah,
stuff, though.
because it's still
because
school.
of the money. Yeah, like school's still involved.
Ohio State's like that too. Like a lot of times their draft picks have come to like Pittsburgh. They couldn't show up to like midsummer when every other rookie is on campus because they're on the block schedule too.
Yep.
Like it's a process for sure.
615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up, Titans Radio's head coach, Coach Dave McGinnis, does more NFL draft scouting with us. We'll run down the names of some more visitors for the Titans, what Coach Mack thinks about them, and the latest draft news with our head coach here in the building coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Good people, they have been here and in business since 1990. Cool part about that, too, they're family owned and operated. Jimmy Hiller was recently named amongst the most admired CEOs, and it's because how he truly cares for his team and his client. I myself am a customer of Hiller, man, and that's what they do on every single job. They take care of us every single time, whether it be electrical work that needs to be done, heating or cooling, servicing our HVAC units, doesn't matter, man. Their motto is, happy you'll build, the service is free. If you're looking for a very trustworthy and just really good company to do business with, it is Hiller, man. They always send a professional, experienced, trustworthy technicians over to your home, and they always figure out what's going on and fix it, too. They also offer true transparency pricing. What this means is every part of the job is lined up front, so you understand what you're paying for. No added fees, no added costs, no surprises when you get your bill. To book with a company that I trust or to learn more about them, simply visit happyhiller.com.
Thursday morning continues on RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling continuing the NFL draft discussion with Titans Radio's head coach, who you will hear right here on Titans Radio, breaking down the NFL draft next week, 7 days away. As all our visits with Coach Mack are brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, Two Rivers Ford. Mack, how we living?
Good, guys. How we doing this morning? Everybody there?
Good, Coach.
Yes, sir.
We are all
Accounted
present
for.
and accounted for. I can't believe we're 1 week away, Mac, from round one next week.
That's kind of crazy, isn't it? We just sent our board through the printer, so going to let that thing breathe for a while. So at least we can talk about it like we know what we're talking about once this thing gets here on Thursday. So looking forward to it.
I love it, Mac. Well, is that what is going on at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park and 31 other cities this week as well, Mac? Is this weekend you get done with top 30 visits, you kind of finish that fact-finding process. What are these next 48 hours, 72 hours like, Mac, going into the weekend as these teams get ready for draft week next week?
Yeah, yesterday was the last day that you could have them in for the 30 visits, and the 30 visits cover, it's sometimes it's gotten a little bit of a misnomer as far as top 30. It's not the top 30 guys. It's guys that you for one reason or the other, and it runs the whole litany of why you would want to bring them in. Some guys you may want to bring in because you have an idea that if they're available, that they might be the person that you might choose at that time, because you don't know how this board's going to come off. That's why you set your board, and then towards the end of it, you start to let it breathe a little bit, and then trust all the work that you've put into it. But some guys you haven't had a chance to vet enough, and then you run through guys from your board from top to bottom at various points in your board that you might want a little more information on. So yeah, the 30 visits are over with now. We just saw the last guys that they've had in. I mean, had a couple of running backs in, a couple of wide receivers in, and then Omar Lott from the University of Tennessee. So they've kind of run the chain here a little bit in these last visits that they've had.
Coach Mack, I wanted to ask you about one prospect that reportedly was visiting with the Titans and a guy that has spent some time in the state of Tennessee, Georgia interior offensive lineman Tate Ratledge as an interior option. Mack, what do you like about him on film?
Yeah, well, he's got some traits that you're looking for, and when you start looking for defensive guys inside, it has to be scheme fit, and it also has to be scheme fit within the confines of what you have already on your roster, and how Denard Wilson and his guys are gonna put these guys. He's a guy that I think. Let me see where I've got him. Let me pull this board out. See if this board can work here a little bit.
Love it. Now that it's gone through the printer.
When you start looking at the defensive linemen that are in this draft, the interior defensive linemen, the thing that they all bring in one way or the other, and this is a strong interior defensive line group as far as from top to bottom. What I like about him, I mean, he's a guy that is going to be able to move probably up and down that line of scrimmage, a little bit. The thing that I like about him is he's got a really, really good engine to him. He's got a good motor to him, and those types of things. You're looking for coachable traits when you start talking about guys that you may bring in. That to me is something that's been pretty evident with the people that they've brought in. They have some coachable traits per their position that now this group has been together for one season that they kind of figure can work into the people that they have or add to. I like Tate Ratledge. He'll probably be a third day guy. Where he goes in the third day will be up to what the board says and what everything else that comes off in front of him. But he fits into that mold of those guys that I've talked about that they're bringing in to get a little more information on. But somebody has liked something about him early on to say, hey, we need to investigate this guy a little bit more.
No doubt about it. Coach Mack with us this morning. Mack Attack, man, in this draft evaluation process of, I guess it's the expectation now that the Titans will end up taking Cam Ward. But I just want to ask you, over your years of being in the league and around just, how you build a team up. Coach Mack, when you go get your franchise guy, whether it be in college and now in the NFL or in the college world, what is the expectation, Coach Mack, whether it be college, whether it be the NFL, of a franchise quarterback, if you will? Because, of course, Cam coming here is one thing, but with the news up in Knoxville with Nico Iamaleava, what are you looking for as far as having the guy?
You've been a little bit busy this last week, Ramon. You jumped right into.
I did.
You jumped right into national news with your new job.
I did. I almost dropped your name on air until I called Mike Keefe. I said, Coach and I went, Mike Keefe.
I heard that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, first of all, there's nothing with that. And to tell Mike Keefe that he should be proud that you said my name instead of his.
That's the answer I was looking for, Coach. No doubt.
That just shows that you're entirely dialed in. So.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Anyway, to that point, look, your quarterback, when you start saying franchise quarterbacks, your starting quarterback, that's got to be a fulcrum point for your team. Yeah. Regardless of expectations when one comes in, when you got a guy that is the guy, and from being a former player, your players and your squad have to be able to trust that guy. And not necessarily that he's going to make every play on the field every time it shows up, but he's a guy that you can trust, from the beginning to the end of the process. And that's something that's extremely, extremely important. It really doesn't matter how you get there. It's how you conduct yourself when you're there, and the dependability. And for a quarterback, there's a lot that goes on a quarterback, especially when you start in any football scenario, but especially when you start looking at Power 4 schools or you start looking at the National Football League, there's a lot that's riding on that position, even more than production. It's the way that you conduct all of your business so that everybody else in that locker room, which the locker room is the whole key to that thing, everybody else in your locker room, and then as a result of that trust, your fan base starts to trust that guy. Your coaching staff trusts it. Trust is a huge thing for that position. It's a huge thing because it's the most visible position. And so, if you've got a guy in that position, that there's always something else going on other than the focus on, helping the team win and being a consistent part of that team, that can be an issue. That can be a problem. So I would say the first thing that you're looking for is that guy that's got the intrinsic values of someone that you can trust and you can depend on. That's huge.
It is huge, Coach Mack. And on the other side of the ball, Coach Mack, guys that get after the ball, and the Titans may have to see in the AFC South. He's been, I think, the most consistent pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars of anybody, and that's Mason Graham. What kind of issues, Coach Mack, can he present? And as far as him also, his talent, with him potentially being a top 5 pick in this NFL draft coming up, Coach Mack, Mason Graham.
Well, yeah. Look, the higher you go up. Mason Graham is my top interior defensive lineman. Mm-hmm. Okay? I'm looking at this board. The top interior defensive lineman, we talk about, the order that you – and the reason you put that this board is put together so that we can talk intelligently as the draft starts to unfold, as far as to, why people are taken or maybe who the next people in line is after the first person's taken. He's my number one interior defensive lineman. And he's in that top group with Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant, and Walter Nolan.
Yeah.
Those 4 guys to me are the top interior defensive linemen in this league, followed by another group that's pretty close. But this guy, we just talked about dependability at the quarterback position. This guy has got it all. He is that kind of leader up front. As well as I do, and I think all of us do. You always talk about the strength of each room in the National Football League. Who is the leader in those rooms, and not only the leader just because somebody says they're a leader because of the way they go about their business. This guy's going to be a leader in that defensive line room pretty quick when he moves in, because that's what he's been at a pretty high level already, at Michigan.
Coach Mack joined us this morning on RKW. We're talking a little draft, and we had the top 30 visits we were talking about just now. There has been some running backs, too, who have visited the Titans facility. Cam Scadaboo is the latest one, Coach. I think you look at that running backs room, and off the back, you might say, it looks complete. But why would a guy like him complement that room?
Well, it's never complete. Yeah, they've had two backs in there. Cam Scadaboo is the first one, and then Jordan James is the kid from Oakland High School. He's the other guy they had in, and they're both about in the same tier as far as on this board that we've put together. And you look at that, they're third-day guys. They're probably fourth-round guys. Let's run through Scadaboo a little bit from Arizona State. I mean, his career started out at Sacramento State. I mean, I'm not sure a lot of people could pinpoint where Sac State was on a map other than it's in Sacramento, and they think that's in California. But he was at Sac State for 2 years. But then he made big waves when he came into Arizona State, and you put on the field. He's the reason that they were in the playoffs, and the reason Arizona State has risen pretty high this last couple of years. 5'10", 219. He's a 4.65 guy. He's not a long speed back at all, but he's an explosive back, and he's a contact balance guy. 38.5-inch vertical, if I remember correct, a little over 10-foot broad jump. He is a workhorse, and not only running the football. Look at the number of that. He caught a lot of passes this year. He was really, really valuable, both in the run and the pass game. But he's a very, very physical back. He's a physical back. He's built low to the ground, as I said, 5'10", 219 pounds. I've got him in the fourth pod, which is somewhere around, in that third day, around the fourth round, maybe top of the fifth. And then Jordan James is kind of the same size, out of Oregon, 5'10", 210 pounds, 4.55. He's a little bit faster than Scadaboo is. He got a 1.62 10. But he's a workhorse too. But he rotated quite a bit more, and he has not caught the ball as much as Scadaboo has. But those two guys are kind of in the same pod. That's why I was talking about earlier. You start bringing guys in a little bit of the pods that you think they might be in, just to try to compare them, as people, one to the other. If you bring them in for those 30 visits, but Scadaboo and Jordan James, look. If they can come in and add a different element to your running back room, you've got two good running backs, right now in the Titans running back room. But you always are looking to add. That's the thing about the National Football League. It flips so fast. Rosters flip so fast that you always need to layer your rooms. And as you layer your rooms, you're looking for guys that can add a dimension that you don't have, and that's what they're doing.
Coach, we've talked about a lot of wide receivers also in this year's draft with you. There's one name, and I know Ron Slay is big on this guy too, out of Ole Miss, Trey Harris. Maybe why haven't we heard as much about him through this draft prospect? Because I still think he's highly thought of coming out of Ole Miss.
Yeah, I've got him in the third pod. I think he's about a third-round pick. The top tier of wide receivers, Trey Harris is he's a guy that's going to be he will be very, very viable wherever he goes, because his skill set translates. I've got Trey Harris. Let me just look right here. I'll just read them off to you the way I've got them, because I don't care about holding secrets. I'm not drafting anybody. In the third pod, right behind a guy they just brought in, Jaden Higgins. I've got Jaden Higgins a little bit a notch above Trey Harris, from Iowa State. But in this group, Trey Harris, Jack Besh, Tez Johnson, Alec Amonar, Isaiah Bond, and Kyle Williams from Washington State. They're different receivers, but they're all kind of in that same pod as far as to what you're looking at. So, I mean, he's going to be drafted, and I think he'll be drafted. He'll probably be a third-day guy, but probably the top of the third day.
Coach Dave McGinnis with us, presented by Two Rivers Ford, as he is every Thursday here on the show. Mack, another offensive lineman reportedly in with the Titans. Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College, a day 2 tackle, 3-year starter at right tackle. What do you like about him?
Well, he's a physical player. Let me see where I've got Ozzie in the third pot. So what we're talking about now, you guys started this show off talking about, this is the last days of these visits. You kind of bring guys in on visits, a little bit, mix and match. But this again fits right into that slot. He's in a third pot of players. I've got him in that group. I mean, this is Ramon sits and watches these guys very, very closely. I've got him in that same group. The offensive tackles and Anthony Belton from North Carolina State, Charles Grant from William and Mary, Emory Jones from LSU. I mean, I think he can be a versatile guy in the offensive line, but you're looking at a day 3 guy there that you're going to bring in to develop. I mean, I like him. Look, Boston College has put out some really, really good offensive linemen. Just in the history of what their program is. He's another one. He's a daily, just a guy that's a grinder. This is a grinder, and you can tell that just by the way that he plays. And that third day guy, he fits kind of in that slot.
Coach Mack, it's interesting with the amount of defensive linemen the Titans have brought in. Darius Alexander from Toledo, TJ Sanders from South Carolina, Omar Norman Lott, who we know a lot about, who you mentioned, Texas lineman Vernon Broughton, and Florida's Cameron Jackson. What is unique about this defensive line class, Mack? Is there something that you feel like a couple of those guys have in common that could be of value to the Titans?
They've got those guys that you just mentioned. I mean, I could go through this whole board I'm looking at right now. I mean, we've updated our technology. We've got it all on Excel spreadsheets now. It's on my phone. I mean, I'm in the 29th century now here. This stuff. Anyway, you look at those guys. You've got to constantly be building offensive linemen, and you've got to build offensive linemen through depth. And you build it through depth by bringing them in early and then being able to train them. All of these guys, that we have mentioned, offensive and defensive linemen. If you're truly going to build, which they're going to do, and you build a National Football League team from the front back, if you're going to do that, you've got to throw numbers at that position. That's what they're trying to do.
Mac, we're 7 days away, exactly a week away from the draft. No more 30 visits. What happens now for the coaching staff, Coach Mack, more than anything? Is there an opportunity for them to, submit a wish list? Like, hey, if given the opportunity, how was this last week leading up to the draft for the guys inside the building, the ones that are coaching?
Yeah, the thing that you'll finally do, you've heard me talk this morning about letting the board breathe a little bit. Okay. Sooner or later, you got to step back from it and just look at it, because if you just keep tinkering and messing with it, you can always find pluses and minuses the more you keep messing with it. You've got it set now for a reason. They'll let that board breathe right now. But here's the thing about the draft is you can prepare. This is probably, you have the most time to prepare for the draft as you do any event in the National Football League, correct? Yeah. I mean, when we get into the season, you got 5 days to get prepared for an opponent. For this, I mean, the scouting departments have had a year, and then you've got the since the season's been over, that the coaches have been involved. There's a lot of time spent on this, so you need to pull back from it a little bit, because you can control it to the point of you've got your board set and you've got your idea of where you may want to take people, but you can't control how the draft goes, because everybody gets one pick ahead of you, no matter where you're picking. Even if you're the first pick, there's a lot of picks that have to happen before you get your next pick. So you've got to be able to take a look at it, from a big picture. That's what they're doing right now. They're looking at a big picture of it, and they've zeroed in on some guys that they would like to be there at certain points, but you understand that you can't obsess over what's going to happen, because you don't have complete control over that once the draft starts. We all know that when you look at it. So all of this work that you've put into it, you've got to trust that work. sooner or later. That's the point where we're in right now.
He is Coach Mack at Titans Radio, Thursdays at 7:20 here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. It will be draft day the next time we meet with Mack here on this show. Looking forward to it next week, Mack. Thank you, sir.
All right, Ramon, please keep calling Mike Keith Coach Mack. It'll help you.
I will, Coach Mack. I know that ain't the last time, but I'm going to call him something that's not his name, Coach. He played it off like a true pro that you know he is, Coach.
Oh, absolutely. See you.
All right. Thank you, Mac.
Thanks,
there he
Coach.
is. Coach Tay McGinnis with us this morning, brought to you by Two Rivers Ford. Coming up, there is breaking college football news, a rule change that one SEC team is going to hate. And that's next.
We love being part of the moments that matter, which is why we're announcing employee pricing for everyone. You pay what we pay.
The Jury Buying event
Employee
everyone waits
pricing at
for
Two
is
Rivers
coming. It's
Ford.
April 25th,
Locally
26th,
owned.
and 27th. It's
American
Genesis
made.
Diamond's biggest event of the year. 3 days only. Unbelievable store-wide savings, too, and up to 35% off some items. And the selection is like double the norm, too, with top bridal designers coming and showcasing all new collections. Beautiful, one-of-a-kind pieces, including all new engagement ring mountings. It's more jewelry than you've ever seen in one place at prices you've never thought possible, too, from rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands, stunning fashion jewelry that you won't find anywhere else. Check out thousands of engagement ring settings in gold and platinum. Also, get special pricing on natural as well as lab-grown diamonds. This is the event where the Genesis staff knows they can break all the rules, too. If you have any special event coming up this spring, that's engagements, anniversaries, birthdays, new babies, whatever, this is a spectacular event to get that amazing gift at a huge discount. Store-wide savings up to 35%, and special pricing, too, special financing, too. It's April 25th, 26th, and 27th at Genesis Diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone is brewed by Scooters Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Wrapping up the first half of your Thursday morning. So there is a rule change in the NCAA on fake injuries. Did you guys see this?
Wow, no,
just happened a few minutes ago. So under the new rule, if medical personnel enter the field to evaluate an injured player after the ball is spotted by the officiating crew for the next play, the player's team will be charged a timeout. Okay. If the team does not have any timeouts remaining, a 5-yard delay of game penalty will be assessed. The injury timeout proposal was made by the NCAA Football Rules Committee after many in the college football community, of course, raised concerns about strategies in which players fake an injury to stop the opposition's momentum or to avoid using an allotted timeout. Let's all think of Lane Kiffin on this really difficult morning.
Lane,
Ole Miss, we
really difficult day for Lane Kiffin and the Rebels.
My condolences. My condolences. But here's what has happened. I'm sure more than anything, they started to mess with the money. When you got to take all these timeouts and commercial breaks, are there ads being ran in those moments right there too? And just also too, like, it's too obvious now with how they go about doing this. Like, the game is to be better than your team, and there are cheats that are allowed. And if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But this is when, hey, a guy's running to the sideline and then poof, he hits the ground and dirt. It's just like, come on, man, like. I'm all for getting over on somebody when it comes to the sports world, but like with this one, it's just it's an unnecessary break in the game is what it is in those moments. So we've done it at UT, so I'm not going to act like we haven't done it either.
Everybody has had a little bit.
Everybody's
Everybody's
some more than others, but yes, everyone's doing it.
But I think last year I saw much. That's the thing. I think it finally opened eyes of like, okay, there's too much of this going on.
Yeah, exactly. And then Ole Miss, of course, been the main culprit of it all. If you getting rolled as a team, it just ain't your day on that series. The way I look at it, look, fight back. Oh, but yeah. It is what it is on this. I'm glad to kind of see this one. But I'm more than anything, started messing with the money as it pertains to the flow of the time. Stuff, yeah, absolutely.
So I imagine now players will just start faking the injury more quickly before the ball's spotted.
Before the ball is spotted?
Yeah, because if you go down before the ball gets spotted, you still don't get charged with the timeout.
Yeah.
It's just if it's like a late, like, oh, crap, we've got 12 in the field, go down. Right in front of the sideline.
Yeah, no, that's not okay.
Yeah.
That's not okay. I remember my coach used to tell us, look, if you go down for upper body injury and for upper body injury, you can run off the field, I'm fining you. Like, that's the way it was with us. Coaches, it's more strategic than anything. But I like this because if we had had that opportunity against Ole Miss about 3 years ago, it'd be a different conversation. Lane also told that story to he painted a perfect setting. I would have sent it to our group chat, but it had profanity in it about when he came back in 2022 and how Knox, it was just like, it's by far one of the greatest. And I was surprised he was speaking this high about the Vols, about UT. I almost retweeted it, but I hate to give Lane a lot of credit. But I was like, well, is Lane trying to get that old thing back? Like, the way he spoke about Neyland and Knoxville, he was just like, it's by far one of the most beautiful settings you can have in football. I'm like, Lane, you coach at an SEC school. You shouldn't be talking about your old girlfriend like this. But he spoke about how it felt like it was a Gladiators movie and how you felt the anger grow and grow. Yeah. It was super cool, actually, to hear.
It's interesting because for all of the drama and the pot stirring that Lane Kiffin has, he will also give credit where credit is due.
Shocking.
When the time comes, those quotes just don't get as much oxygen.
Not like
and as much traction.
That's why I didn't retweet. I was just like, And somebody made a point, like, Vols fans is one of the main reasons Lane is as popular as he is.
Oh, yeah.
I got to give it to him. I think he's good at his job. I do think there's limitations in Oxford sometimes with how he can get what he wants at times. I know they got a lot of money like every other school in the SEC, but that's a destination that you got to be very particular that you want to go to.
Ole Miss made a transfer portal move. Did you guys see that this week? Another quarterback being brought in. This is an interesting part of the transfer portal process now because this is following a trend. They brought in a Ferris State quarterback, Ole Miss did, to be a backup. Yeah. Florida brought in Harrison Bailey to be a backup. I remember asking Austin Price about this a year ago when Tennessee was reportedly going to roll with Gaston Moore as its backup. And I remember asking Austin, like, why don't they just go sign a backup? And his point was like, well, it's kind of hard to when you know that you're just sitting behind Nico. Obviously, a year later, we know what happened with Nico. Right. But I think the point stands that the NIL market has become so deep and expansive that there is now a market to pay a backup quarterback in the SEC. And I think this is something you're going to see more of, are guys who know their role, guys who know their place. Like, is it better for me to go be a backup at an SEC school or be a starter for a FCS school or a starter for a Division II school or a JUCO school? Like, really interesting to me the way that's working, because now we've seen Florida and Ole Miss both do this.
The other side of it, too, is a smart business to me. Like, how many quarterbacks are actually going to go into the NFL? A lot of these guys turn into high school coaches, college coaches, or go to a place where they can build bridges and say, you know what? He's probably going to end up being on Lane Kiffin's staff at some point. I'm watching a guy right now, Landry Jones, right, that's been hired through Coach Heupel to come be on his staff to help extend his offense. Like, it makes sense to me. If you can tell me if I can go from Ferris State to Ole Miss.
Trinidad Chambliss, the guy's name.
Because you're getting money still, and that's the thing. Like, if you can now get money as a backup transfer,
there's value in it.
I mean, might as well, as long as you have the right people, again, surrounding you to benefit from that and not waste all of that. I think that why not go get a little bit of money, because you don't think your future is probably going to be a starting QB in the NFL.
That's the thing, right? Like, if you know that your ceiling moving forward is a UFL or like an XFL situation, go get paid now. Like,
right.
That's the thing.
And learn a little bit more, too.
For sure.
The systems
go into coaching.
Like, I'm sure it's 3 times as much technology to break down tape and become, at some point, a better coach.
There is a reason why backup quarterbacks are good analysts and coaches.
Sure.
Because they often know how to break down the game and where the ball is supposed to go. They just might not have the athleticism or the arm strength to get it there.
Yeah.
I think they know where it's supposed to go.
Yeah, you're right. I think our guy Mike Wright, who's, by the way, back in the transfer portal, could be a good coach one day. He's been with so many different programs.
I would love that for Mike.
I think he'd be great in that.
He got the social media going yesterday.
He did.
He posted a picture of him and his brother in UT gear at Neyland Stadium.
I would love that.
It's really
for
funny.
Mike. Now, I don't know. His price is going to be backup quarterback money.
Right.
So there's speculation he may even change positions.
No kidding. I didn't read that one.
Yeah.
To what?
Probably wide receiver.
Wide receiver is the first thing I
wide
thought.
receiver.
Yeah.
He's an athlete.
I sure don't see him going to play DN.
Right?
You feel me? The wide receiver could be in a play for him, man. If Mike can get one more out of it with a little cash behind it.
Good dude.
It's the experience, I think, for a guy like him that would mean a whole lot.
RKW listener, Mike Wright.
He's a great dude.
615-737-1045. Lesson is, if you listen to the show, we'll call you a great person.
Exactly, right?
No, he actually is a great guy, too. The Titans have a trend, guys. Scheduling a lot of visits with a position that surprises many of us. We'll dive into that topic coming up next.
It's 8 a.m. from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. Former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava is expected to commit to UCLA, as first reported by Fox Sports' Colin Cowherd, saying, quote, "It's a done deal." Iamaleava entered the spring transfer portal, reportedly looking for a new NIL deal worth $4 million per year. But the deal with UCLA is expected to be just north of $1 million. Cowherd added that Iamaleava's decision was not about the money, but more so about the offense with the Tennessee Vols. And in hockey last night, the Nashville Predators concluded their disappointing 2024-25 season on a positive note as they beat the Dallas Stars 5-1 at Bridgestone Arena on Fan Appreciation Night. The Predators head to the offseason with a third best odds to win the NHL Draft Lottery with the first overall pick at 11.5%. Just the San Jose Sharks and Chicago Blackhawks have better odds. And to the NBA, where the play-in games continued last night. In the East, the Miami Heat beat the Chicago Bulls 109-90, and they'll face the Atlanta Hawks Friday night for the 8th seed and final spot in the Eastern Conference playoffs. In the East side, the Dallas Mavericks beat the Sacramento Kings 120-106, and they'll face the Memphis Grizzlies Friday night for the 8th seed and final spot in the Western Conference playoffs. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW 104.5 The Zone continues into the second half of your Thursday morning. 615-737-1045 is the number. Coming up in 20 minutes, Brad Crawford of 247 Sports. We'll talk college football with us. The latest on Nico and UCLA. And where does Tennessee go next? We'll talk about that with Brad coming up here in just a few minutes. We stream the show live on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. And you can join the discussion in the F&M Bank chat in the comments section on the 104.5 The Zone YouTube channel. So, you get 30 visits with prospects leading up to the NFL draft, in addition to the additional touch points like combine meetings, virtual meetings, local pro days, local meetings. You get 30 visits with players. Is it a big deal that the Titans have used 5 of those visits on defensive linemen? Because I would not put defensive line high on the Titans' needs.
Is it a big deal? Yeah, definitely, in my opinion.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons. We brought this up, like, you got to start appeasing the defensive side of the ball, number one. Going ahead and trying to build up a young group of talented defensive players that can get to the ball and honestly lower your salary cap if you find good production out of those guys. But the other side of it too is the way you got embarrassed last year in the run game when, that's not what you used to in that point. The reason I think is very interesting is this. The market for defensive tackles have raised significantly in this last year. Milton Williams reset the market in a way for interior defensive linemen. I don't think the league knew was going to happen. And you got a guy at some point where you got to decide, hey, how are we going to move forward with this, or how are we going to supplement keeping it lower until we figure out the rest of the cap to be able to spend money. Right? That's the way I view this situation. So my eyes looking at the list of guys that have come through, definitely raises eyebrows because there's one figurehead in that room and Jeffrey Simmons that, hey, you got to not make a decision on, but it wouldn't shock me if he or his camp was asking for certain things moving forward. And that's just how the business goes on this side of it, specifically when you're under contract like a guy like him. Yes, 100% it raises my eyebrows.
I don't think it does completely. I know that we want to always kind of keep Jeffrey Simmons in the mix as possibly being a trade option because he's pretty much the only trade option. And I think that with things that Mike Borgonzi has said when he took this job, that they want as many draft picks as possible, yeah, you could technically put him in the mix because there's nothing to say right now that he couldn't be traded on draft day. Or, right before it when it comes to maybe getting some picks in this year's draft. Because, again, they still don't have a third-round pick. I'm not saying that he's not movable. That's not the case at all. I think at this point, with a new team, a lot of new pieces, anything can happen. And I think even he knows that he has to be prepared every day, when he rolls out of bed, that something could happen.
Yeah.
I think that's just the reality of what this organization is right now. But I don't look at this particularly with the top 30 visits as being a sign that they're going to do that. Y'all, they just need depth. They need depth on the defensive line. I know they've made signings. I understand that. But when it comes to what if Jeff does go down, and you've got to have those pieces ready. And they also have made it clear that defensive line is an absolute priority for this team, as is the offensive line. So I think it's actually smart to continue to keep padding and adding real good depth, even if it does mean adding one of these guys in the draft. And then, Jeffrey Simmons isn't the youngest guy. We'll see what happens with the contract. But if one of these guys does end up being a starter for you, then you deal with that when the time has come. I don't think it means anything right now, though.
It is interesting, though, when you compare the other positions that have been brought in for top 30 visits. In fact, great timing, because Zach Lyons just tweeted this out, saying, here are the 28 players that we know of that the Titans brought in for official 30 visits. There are 3 corners. Mm-hmm. There are only 2 edge rushers, Abdul Carter, who you're not drafting,
right,
and Femi Oladejo. As far as offensive linemen, only 4 of them. Tate Ratledge, Donovan Jackson, Charles Grant, Ozzie Trapillo. Quarterbacks, only 2 of them, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward. 3 running backs, Caleb Johnson, Cam Scatteraboo, Jordan James. 2 safeties, Xavier Watts, Andrew Makuba. Only 1 tight end, Terrence Ferguson. Wide receiver, you have got 6 of them, if you include Travis Hunter as a wide receiver. That's Jamal Pritchett, Luther Burden, Dante Thornton, Kyle Williams, Jacoby Keeney James, and Travis Hunter. And then 5 defensive linemen. So if you're looking at the amount of players you've brought in at different positions, you've brought in more defensive linemen than any other position other than wide receiver on top 30 visits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 2 positions that's a strong need. And my question as far as the defensive line and wide receiver, who wins the coin toss? At what point? Because here's the thing. I absolutely think TJ Sanders could do wonders here, right? Especially if you're trying to build up a defense to be very competitive, too. It's just that which quality are you choosing as it pertains to which position? Because, again, without the third right now, it'd be awesome to go deep tackle and then you go wide receiver in the third, or vice versa. You don't have that option right now.
No.
So where are you trying to find the quality at? Because I think that's what this team needs more than anything currently is not just the bodies. Mm-hmm. It's the quality of those bodies and strategically picking that one. Like, do you pick Luther Burden in the second round or TJ Sanders? Right? Like, which one are you going to try to appease to more than anything? We're speaking about depth and trying to make this team more competitive with guys that have been proven that they can make plays for you. And that's where it gets a little sticky. The quarterback side of it, being that Cam Ward is probably the number 1 overall pick, says to you, go get a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. But if you listen to guys that need help on that defensive line, Jeff, man, go give me a defense so I can get the ball back to your quarterback.
Otherwise, Jeff might want out.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, he wants to win games. When it's all said and done, he does want to win games. He wants to be able to be in the playoffs again, right? These are all things that, is on his short list right now as he continues to get older as a player. And at some point, maybe they're not going to get Abdul Carter at this point, which he has very vocally pushed for when it comes to what he would like to add. So you would think at some point in this draft, you're going to go get that help that they need. I do agree on that point. You got to try to at least make Jeff a little bit happy because he is a big part of that defense. And right now he's the only big time leader on that team.
Is it more important to make Cam Ward happy or Jeffrey Simmons happy?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right now, Jeffrey Simmons, if we believe in what veterans are and what's the importance to a team, I know what the quarterback can do for a team. Mm-hmm. But we're talking about current guys that should have a say-so, it's Jeff.
Because you could go get, I'm just throwing this out here, if you want to appease, Jeffrey in that defense and stack the front, you can go technically get with your 4th round early pick still a good wide receiver. I just had that conversation with Coach Mack. You guys heard him when I asked about the receivers in the 3rd day. He mentioned some good ones. So you could still go get Cam, that guy.
Yeah,
it's just not going to be as high caliber as maybe a Luther Burden that slips.
It's not ideal for Cam Ward to have a day 3 wide receiver pick as wide receiver 2.
It's not ideal.
No.
But here's
I don't think it is.
It may not be, but the other side of it too is if the elevation of your franchise comes to a quarterback's shoulders and arms and legs, like how much can you make them be better? Like we're not asking for superstars just yet. If we can agree this is a rebuild and you need experience for that fourth rounder that may go into a second year,
right.
like that's that side of it. For me, I look at the defensive side of the ball and say this: there's one guy the team's going to focus in. And if they minimize that guy being Jeffrey Simmons, then what good is your team on that side of the ball then if he's getting beat the crap out of him, play in and play out? You hope for a big jump into Vondre, right? But, like, that's still just two guys that get beat to hell pretty much on every single play.
I'm sticking with where I've been consistently in all of this, that where you have your board vertically is what matters most in 2025.
That's fair.
And regardless of position, the player that you feel like has the best chance to be successful while you compare apples to oranges is who you take at every turn. And if that means that it is a running back, if that means it's a defensive lineman in the second round, if that means you're going wide receiver on day 3, I think that is what matters. But at the same time, what really matters this season, and I've been consistent on this too, is Cam Ward taking a step forward. And Cam Ward being better by week 18 than he is in week 1. And you're going to need to give him more help than what you currently have for him in order to do that. So the one exception I will make to the always draft based off of verticality of your board is going to be with that number 35 pick. I just think that they almost have to. And they've put themselves in this position, and it's not a good position to be in. You almost have to give him a young playmaker to grow with. And it's never good to draft based on need. I totally understand that. But also, they've put themselves in that box of that need. That's not my fault.
I know.
That's not my fault that they didn't go make more moves at wide receiver other than Van Jefferson. They're the ones that made that decision, knowing what this draft board was likely going to give them at that point. I think the dream scenario still is that you trade back from 35. A team is desperate enough to give you a third-round pick, and you're able to trade back into that next pod of wide receivers that includes a Jack Besh, a Trey Harris, a whoever else in the bottom of the second round versus the top of the second round. Because unless Emeka Ibuka or Luther Burden is there, you might be reaching a little bit for one of those wide receivers with the 35th pick. That is why I think trading back in the second round is something that the Titans are really going to look strongly at.
Yeah, you cannot not listen to offers at that, because I almost would go in that direction if Luther and Ibuka are gone. Yeah, there could be a defensive lineman that you can't miss on, right? Like you were saying, Moan, they just really fell in love with, because, again, they brought in a lot of them. But if you can trade back, that might be the best option too.
It's just a long way from pick 35 to pick 101. That's
103.
It is.
103. That's a lot of. Mac mentioned that. Like, somebody's always picking in front of you. Like, it's two teams.
Well, there's one other way you could get that pick.
Don't do it, Will.
Oh boy.
By trading Jeffrey Simmons before the draft.
Oh boy.
And we'll get to that later in the show, coming up at 9:20. 615-737-1045. Pick 101 and pick 118, the two that they have in the fourth round. Coming up, Brad Crawford of 247 Sports will join us. We'll get back to college football. But we do remind you that the NFL draft is, of course, almost here, 7 days away. Stay tuned right here to The Zone for all of our draft coverage, thanks to Parman Tractor and Equipment. Take the 104.5 The Zone app, wherever you go. And then tune in to hear every selection, thanks to Parman Tractor and Equipment, your authorized Takuchi excavator and track loader dealer. For more info, you can visit 1045thezone.com. Coming up, Brad Crawford, 247 Sports, talks college football with us next.
It's Ramon Foster for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Right now, they're giving you 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression, y'all. It's the big 47 offer 2025, man. They are offering it up to you because Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley would not give up on you, man. When it comes to back and knee pain, they are in the trenches fighting to help you win that battle of pain, man. There are no pills or spinal creams that can open up the spinal disc to take the pressure off your nerve. You either have to have surgery or non-surgical procedures to open up the spinal disc. I, myself, take the non-surgical approach to it at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are my experts on non-surgical spinal decompression with the most state-of-the-art futuristic facility, and I do mean that. Just walk in. I promise you will not be disappointed. They have all the latest high-tech equipment to help you feel better, and I've seen it. I've had treatment there. They are good. During a consultation, you get an exam, x-rays, and treatment. I promise you, they are the best. So start the rest of this year off with a pain-free life, and it is possible. Call them today, the Wellness Institute of Nashville at 615-246-5009 or go to painisbad.com.
RKW 104.5 The Zone is brewed by Scooters Coffee with locations at White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling joined this morning by one of our favorites, talking college football, Brad Crawford of 247 Sports. Just a little bit to get into here in the state of Tennessee. What's going on, Brad? How are you?
Hey, man, thanks for having me this morning.
Yes, sir, absolutely. What is your initial take, Brad? The Nico saga, it looks like, is going to end with him going to UCLA. What was your initial reaction when this news all started, I guess, last Thursday afternoon and then evolved into him skipping practice last Friday?
Yeah, I think his personal team of his father and representatives personally just overshot his value. Obviously, he's not a $4 million quarterback. Is he a $2 million quarterback? Probably so. He's a top 15 player in the country at the position. But problem now with Nico is, he goes to UCLA, a team that really struggled last year in the Big Ten. He's got about 4 months to learn the offense if he does sign with the Bruins. And then you look at Tennessee's side of things, big ups to Josh Heupel for not messing up the locker room and telling his quarterback to walk. But, this goes from maybe a 9 or 10 win team to possibly a 7-win team if he does not find a guy at that position. I know he's comfortable going forward with 2 scholarship players, but obviously the Vols need to add another guy in this spring window, and that's the biggest news of the transfer portal so far. We thought it would be a somewhat quiet April, but Nico Iamaleava getting in the portal and leaving the SEC is certainly a big surprise.
So, Brad, how big is the ripple effect of all of this? Because now it feels like the coaching community can go to players and say, you want more money or you want to end up like Nico? Like, what do you really want, right? Like, how big of a win was this for head coaches, Brad? Because it feels like maybe teams and coaching staffs got a little bit of power back with the way this all publicly went down.
Yeah, I think it's big for coaching staffs, big for collectives. Credit Tennessee's Spire Collective for, not bowing to Nico's needs at $4 million. I think it's also vital for players around the country, big-name guys, caliber of Nico, just knowing that maybe you do want to sign in December. You want to get something in writing for the incoming season. You want to be able to be signed at your value, and maybe your true worth is not what you thought it was. I think Nico, and his team reaching out to guys like Dan Lanning and Lincoln Riley reportedly, maybe they should have thought about this back in December when they first approached Tennessee and asked for more money.
Brad Crawford, Go 247, is with us this morning. Brad, from an outsider's perspective, man, you're in the college world, but you cover the Gamecocks more often, man, in college football and other communities. What has been the outside thoughts about this? Because me being close to the scene has been more of, hey, it was money, hey, maybe it was offense. How is it viewed on a national scale, Brad?
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are thinking they got their starting quarterback at a bargain rate. LSU convinced Garrett Nussmeier to return. We don't know what those figures are, but he's probably a better quarterback than Nico. Lenora Sellers signed for $2.5 million at South Carolina for 2025. He was being courted by several other SEC programs. So to me, it just shows that, now more than ever, Ramon, a general manager, a holder of all the money at each university is vital to a football staff. Personnel directors, it's huge. The coach can't figure out his roster. He doesn't have time to, know every scholarship player and who he's going to have every spring. That's now the general manager's job. He's got a certain amount of money, $14 to $15 million per SEC school estimated, that he has to figure out the payroll. And if you're, earmarking $3 or $4 million for a quarterback, man, you got to have money elsewhere too. So I think right now at $1.5 million or so, Nico is a bargain signing for UCLA. He would be the best player in the program if he does go to the Bruins. And I feel most sorry for Joey Aguilar, the App State quarterback that signed with the Bruins in December. He signed for 1.2, I was told, and that means UCLA's quarterback room now, if they do bring in Nico, that's probably the most expensive quarterback room as far as the starter and backup in the country.
Oh, man, I didn't realize it was 1.2. I heard it was $1 million, but that extra 200,000, that really helps the taxes right there. But, Brad, with that being said, man, there was rumblings that South Carolina had to get Dylan Stewart's deal done and also Lenore Sellers, too. What was the dust up, I guess, to get them to that point? Because there was a report, I think, early December, maybe even, hey, South Carolina's going back to Dylan Stewart. What I'm getting at is this. If you have the talent they feel justifies an increase in pay, is there ever a problem? Because I think if it was money, he said it was a little bit of the offense, his campus, saying Nico, that is. If it was money, Brad, do teams have a problem finding it more than anything?
I think it depends on the player, Ramon, to be honest. Dylan Stewart's probably the top edge rusher in college football. So, you go to your biggest booster through NIL factions and you ask, how much do you want to keep a guy like Dylan Stewart in the Gamecocks uniform? And if that person says they want him, then, really, Dylan Stewart can kind of mark his price. It's all about setting the market. I think Nico, he felt the market for someone of his own talent. Maybe not Nico, maybe his father. He's kind of been the guy pulling all the puppet strings here, but at least from what I was told. Yeah. But maybe Nico did think his value was $4 million after Carson Beck got $4 million. And when you compare those two careers, Carson Beck, 2-year starter at Georgia, Nico led his team to the playoff. Maybe the Tennessee quarterback is worth that. But we're seeing now in this spring window, when most of these Power 4 conference teams already have starting quarterbacks, they don't have the money to pay Nico. All that money has already been tied up in other guys. So it's a sad situation for Nico right now, but at least it sounds like he's going to land on his feet somewhat at a Power 4 program.
Brad Crawford, our good friend at 247 Sports, joining us this morning on RKW. I want to go back to Joey Aguilar, and you talked about the money he's getting now, what could be backup money.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that is an opportunity for a guy like that who was predicted to probably be the start at UCLA this year to maybe jump in the portal? Could he land at a place like Tennessee? Would that make sense, Brad?
Yeah, Kayla, I've seen some Tennessee Twitter accounts starting the hype machine with, Joey Aguilar to Knoxville. I haven't watched enough film on him to know if he's better than the two guys Tennessee already has on roster. But I do know if, Joey Hazel, OC there, and Josh Heupel went after Joey Aguilar, and they paid him $1 to $1.5 million. That's telling the two guys you already have, we don't believe in you. We need an immediate starter, QB1 for this season. And you're expecting Joey to be able to come in and learn the offense, like I said, in 4 months. Now, Josh Heupel's offense is definitely quarterback friendly. It's not one, it's just a few formations here and there and wide splits. It's not a crazy playbook by any means, but I would go after more of a probably a dual threat type guy, change the offense a little bit. And like I said, everybody I've spoken to at Tennessee, they need to add a scholarship body at the position, but not necessarily a starter. Josh, recruited both these guys they have now with in mind that, one of them would lead after Nico leaves. And, here we are. It's just maybe 2 years early.
So there's been obviously a lot going on now with Nico and presenting that we always knew there was an issue. There needed to be some structure. But now you've got head coaches coming out. You've got Tennessee, taking a stance, and, Josh Heupel saying no one's bigger than the program. Now you've got a guy like Fran Brown, who's very vocal as a head coach at Syracuse, coming out. His wide receiver, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right. Is it Trevor Pena? The wide receiver up there, he wanted more money, and they said, we're not giving you $2 million. That's what Fran Brown said. Are we going to start to finally see, with all these coaches kind of taking a stance, with Tennessee now putting out that they took a stance, some change? And what would that be?
Yeah, I think every program, Kayla, is going to have 3 or 4 guys that, every spring, every opportunity, you're going to have to renegotiate deals to keep these guys year after year. Trevor Pena, he's probably the top receiver available now in the portal. 9 touchdowns last season, likely heading to Miami. But Syracuse didn't want to pay him $2 million. I don't blame him. I think Jeremiah Smith's probably the only wideout in the country that exceeds $2 million right now and is probably worth that. With that being said, Fran Brown watched one of his best players in his program walk. And like I said, if you think you have the money to keep your best guys, then maybe you should pursue that. But I'm with Fran Brown on this. I don't think a wide receiver one at Syracuse necessarily, elevates that team from 7 or 8 wins to 10 or 11. I think maybe a quarterback could do that, but I do think players, at least elite level players, now have a bit of a say. But I don't know. I mean, as we're seeing with Nico, if you overshoot your value this late in the process, there may not be a landing spot for you.
Right.
Brad Crawford of 247 Sports, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. So, Brad, Tennessee fans, I know you mentioned the Joey Aguilar buzz. There's Rocco Becht love. There was Avery Johnson love. He is not leaving Kansas State. I think we know that. There's been Sawyer Robertson love at Baylor. If you were handicapping it at this point, Brad, are you more confident in Jake Merklinger being the week 1 starter against Syracuse, or is there maybe a possibility that Tennessee can lure one of these established starters to Knoxville out of the portal?
No, I think Tennessee is still going to go after a guy, and we're going to see 3 players compete for that QB1 spot in fall camp. Like I said, I think Tennessee's comfortable right now with the 2 they have, but you can't go into an SEC football season, man, with 2 scholarship players at the most important position on the field. I do think that Josh Heupel will find another guy, whether maybe it's an FCS-level quarterback that he can kind of coax into the portal, or a sitting starter at a non-SEC program right now, because you guys remember they can't ask an SEC quarterback right now to come to Knoxville because they won't be eligible for fall. So I do think that maybe one of those 2 guys that's currently on roster might be the week 1 starter against Syracuse, but they are going to sign another guy at that position, and they just have to right now.
When you look at just the business structure of it also, and I'm sure you've talked to some parents too, is it usually the parents that tell the agents what to do, or is it, hey, agents say, trust me, family, I got this? Because it seems to me there's been both sides with Nico as of late, or anybody. It seems, I know Athlete First is in this business. I know CAA is also. But have you found more interaction with parents than you have agents if you've dealt with them, Brad, in interviews and whatnot on campus?
Yeah, I think the 5-star guys, like the Nicos, it's largely dependent on parents. I mean, I've been told by several people in Knoxville that Nico's father is the one who directed all of this. He first approached Tennessee and Aspire Collective in December when Tennessee was about to play Ohio State. Nico is playing a 13th game. He's only been paid for 12. Where's the new contract? I mean, that wasn't the words exactly, but these players are signed, like I said, 1 season, kind of year-to-year deals. And when you ask guys to play more games, they're going to want more money. And rightfully so, considering how important Nico was to last year's team. But, I mean, Tennessee pretty much called the bluff and said he was not worth $4 million. So, Ramon, I am seeing, though, parents of the 5-star guys, the top 15 to 20 players nationally be the people who are calling the shots here. And the CAA and those agencies are more so representing the, starting guys at the FCS level, or the Buffaloes, or the G5 programs who are kind of looking to make more money.
Brad, that's fascinating. You said rightfully so when it comes to the 13th game, but I thought the way it is for us in the NFL is this, your contract is paid out throughout the 17 weeks, 18 weeks now, but the playoffs is TV money when it comes down to it. Now, what this results to is, again, there needs to be a revenue share. There needs to be for our playoff games in that era, we were getting, I think, first round, you clear 19,000, be 14 or 12 to 14 afterwards. And it's way less than what your contract was, but this is where a collective bargaining agreement, this is where an understanding of revenue sharing, this is where, look, I'm here also to that point, Brad. I'm here to play football because I love it, and I'm chasing a championship. That right there, I think, is the money conversation is necessary because you're allowed to have it. But I think for any university moving forward, do you love football needs to be the first question that comes out of a coach's or collective mouth before you start negotiating. And that's where I think we've gotten a little bit muddy with how we look at what college football is right now.
I think you're right, man. John Summerall, the head coach at Tulane, told us at 24/7 Sports a few weeks ago, look, the first conversation I have with the recruit, if the first sentence out of his mouth is, what's my money looking like, then it's probably not going to work out for that player at Tulane. And Kirby Smart has said some of the same things. He wants literal dogs. He wants guys that love college football. But this is a new era, man. I mean, coaches have to be somewhat nice to players during the spring because, if you bark at guys now, they're so soft, they're just going to jump in the portal and make money elsewhere and play for a player's coach versus a guy who's, all business, all football. So there's a fine line between, trying to find a guy who loves football and is 100% all in and wants to get paid because, it's not all on the players, man. There's 8 coaches now making at least $9.5 million, and it's about time that players get a piece of that pie.
Oh, I'm all for that, 100%. But
yeah,
it's fascinating to say the least. And it's not because it's a Tennessee thing. I look at this and just say in general, like football to me is the hardest collection of 11 people to put one common goal to make a play work, and you're an important part of it. But you legitimately crap on your teammates when you miss practice or, hey, you're not all in. If we show up to an event and you're the last one there, like, bro, you are like the heaviest check on the team and you are the most important player on the team too. That just really, I know it goes a long way with guys when you submit yourselves to them in those moments. And it doesn't seem like this was the case. Get your money though.
I think it speaks volumes too, Ramon, that we have not heard a single Tennessee player come out and say, man, this really hurts losing the best player on the team. There hadn't been one person to say that, and that speaks, says a lot without saying anything.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Brad Crawford of 247 Sports, our guest, talking college football this morning. Always great to catch up with him and great perspective on all of these headlines. Great stuff as always, Brad. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks a lot. Take it easy, y'all.
Appreciate
yes, sir.
it.
Brad Crawford with us this morning. Good perspective, and I would agree. You've not exactly heard any Tennessee players come out and denounce it. I thought it was interesting. John Slaughter, DB, entered the portal yesterday. Multiple comments from current Tennessee players with facepalm emojis and SMH and what are you doing, ... Like Chris Brazzell put a facepalm emoji on John Slaughter's announcement that he's entered the portal. That, I don't know. I think there's maybe some new players in positions of leadership on that program that might lead Tennessee football differently than Nico did. And we'll see if that results in wins and losses. We don't know what that means yet.
No.
But we do know that I think there are now louder voices in that room because Nico's no longer in it.
It lights a fire if you're a player. And I know a lot of them haven't vocally come out or said stuff on social media about the departure. But I do think that creates some sort of a like us against the world mentality in that locker room. And it has to result on the field. Absolutely. But I do think that even if they go with one of these younger quarterbacks and Jake Merklinger or McIntyre, they're going to rally around those two too. So I do think it like ignites a little bit of a different energy within that program, which I'm excited to see if that results to something on the field as well.
I got a good poll question. I ain't going to give it away on there. I'll have us tweet it out in a second.
All right. Stay tuned for that. 615-737-1045 plus NFL headlines where another GM is talking about Travis Hunter's future in the NFL on the record. We've got that for you next.
It's Ramon Foster for United Structural Systems. Did you know that up to 50% of the air you breathe in your home comes from your crawl space? Have you ever looked in your crawl space? I get it. Most of us don't even want to know what's in there, but moisture in your crawl space can create unhealthy issues that can find their way into the first floor of your home, into the air that you breathe every single day. This is where United Structural Systems can help you, all right? USS has been keeping homes dry and stable in Middle Tennessee since 1994. So you know they aren't going anywhere. Help control moisture and musty smells with mold treatment and crawl space encapsulation that comes with a USS guarantee. That's right, encapsulation helps reduce high humidity in your crawl space and helps deter mold and mildew and protects your crawl space from pests and wood rots also. So turn your crawl space into a healthy space, man. Reach out to the company that I trust at United Structural Systems. You can go to USSTN.com, that's USSTN.com, or call them at 615-488-7855.
Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling for my friends at Lee Company. If your home's air conditioning, it's been faltered a little bit, not working maybe the way that you'd like for it to with the warmer months coming up, we're here to tell you that Lee Company, they have got you covered. One of their expert technicians will perform a 22-point inspection as well as seasonal cleaning and maintenance to help you stay ahead of Mother Nature. And look, spring, that is the shortest season that we get here in Middle Tennessee. These moderately warm temperatures, they're going to be gone before you know it. You got to make sure you are ready for the summer months because oftentimes that's coming in April and May. Right now, Lee Company's got a great offer for you as well, $30 off your next air conditioning visit. So don't let your AC fail this spring and summer. Head on over to leecompany.com to schedule your appointment today or call them at 615-567-1000 and get $30 off your next AC tune-up visit. Online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. RKW 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up hour 3 this morning. There is a former college football coach who is lending his voice to the Nico saga and what Tennessee is going to do next. We'll talk about that coming up in 15 minutes. Your thoughts on the phones at 615-737-1045. So Ramon Foster has a poll question for the people. What do you want to know, Ramon?
Maybe not what's worse, but what hits you a little bit harder? Henry To'oTo'o transferring to Alabama, then having to see him, or Nico Iamaleava leaving in the spring? Fascinating.
Interesting, because people are passionate about that, To'oTo'o.
About both. The To'oTo'o one, I did not like at all. I'm a person, look, don't go to the ops. Like, I get what, and it's almost like becoming an Alabama fan in like 2014. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I get the opportunity to go play and do your thing and all that type of stuff, but like that one to me was very much just like, yeah, you really chose one on this one. And there's nothing, I'll be completely honest with y'all, nothing pleased me more than watching him with red eyes lose to the Vols and kneeling the way they did at that point in time, because that was one of the reasons you went there, is to be able to try to be a part of the big show. So yeah, I'm petty like that. I'll be completely honest with you.
I'm interested to see how this ends up.
It's interesting. It stings more. Henry's probably going to be the answer. In terms of which impacted your team more, it's probably Nico.
Right.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
So, but if it's asking the fans, like, which one made you angrier, it'll be Henry going to Bama.
To Bama.
Because I think Tennessee fans have already gone through the denial, anger, acceptance, like the phases of grieving Nico Iamaleava, to where they've convinced themselves, many of us, that like, well, that's his problem now.
It is.
So it didn't really sting as much as it maybe did this time last week.
Yeah, and to see him directly go into a starting position, and it's worked out well for Henry To'oTo'o, right? I do think either way, had he been at Tennessee because the defense was pretty good, or had he gone to Alabama also, he would have been second, third round, which is where he landed. Was he fourth? Either way, he ended up being a draft pick, and he's playing well for the Houston Texans too. So it's just a fascinating approach to what this new world is, and sometimes going directly to your ops or a team like Alabama at that time and in that era to play for Nick Saban, when you knew the hate that was inside of the locker room. I think that was a little bit different. You can separate yourself from Nico, to me, because he's going all the way back to the West Coast, and hey, it is what it was. I'm not even sure if Henry To'oTo'o got a bag to go to Bama for that one. That one's just because he could.
It's a good question by you, for sure.
Yeah, I was that one, I thought of it as Brad got off the phone. It's just like, man, if you going somewhere, like, what's your purposes of going to that place?
Sure.
Yep.
And Henry was going to start regardless at UT.
Makes sense.
Good point.
It's interesting. Giants general manager Joe Shane says that they would not be afraid to play Travis Hunter on both sides of the ball. Interesting. Wouldn't specify whether New York would emphasize one position over the other in talking to the media Wednesday during his annual pre-draft news conference. Instead, he noted that the Giants are in a unique spot where they have three good receivers and are content with their secondary, giving them options. It doesn't appear that Travis Hunter will fall to the New York Giants, but perhaps Joe Shane tried to put it out there. That way Travis Hunter's camp starts to angle for being a New York Giant over being a Cleveland Brown.
It is. This positioning, man. Who was it? Ashton Genty. It's just, I know this is new, but like, I think it's kind of corny. This sending out a letter to draft me type of conversation. It's so much in the media. Like, we know who you are, sir. You don't have to beg us to take you. And I almost look at Trav's situation, too, like that, in a sense. Just like, bro, they'll if they want you, they'll come get you. Like, I get it. I'll be honest with you, I'm super eager to see what team actually commits to playing Travis Hunter both ways, and how does it look at the NFL level. He can defy odds in that way, because Deion Sanders was primarily defensive. He was a defensive player.
Yeah.
I don't think he went into the Hall of Fame as an offensive wide receiver. You know what I'm saying? He could have had a better opportunity to be a kick returner, punt returner than he was a wide receiver. But I'm interested to see how teams play that position. And if you also save a roster spot by saying he's our fifth wide receiver.
Yeah. The Giants have been a little mouthy lately. I mean, whether that be, bringing Shador in for a private workout recently, or
and Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, and Jalen Milroe putting this out about Travis Hunter. And, by the way, we know you want to play both sides of the ball at the next level. Hey, we'd let you do that. And I think it's because they're in a bit of a weird situation now. As crazy as that sounds with B number 3, you still have options. But as much as I think Abdul Carter looks to be going there just because he's the best option at that spot, it's almost like they maybe want someone else, right? And you got Travis Hunter, who's probably going to Cleveland. But if I were to say who could they pick from, who they want, I think it'd be Travis Hunter over Abdul Carter. I think Abdul will add to that defense and make it real good. But they've got a lot of pieces there on that side of the ball in terms of that, line. So I don't know. I almost feel like they're not going to be exactly thrilled with Abdul at that spot.
I think they're thrilled. I think they are.
But why are they doing all this nonsense then?
They're just answering a question. I mean, what else is nonsense, though?
I mean, they're doing all this stuff last minute to put their name out there.
With the Giants.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
I don't think they're visiting with Shedeur Sanders just to put their name out there.
I just think it's kind of late to the party.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think they're doing their due diligence. I mean, they went to his pro day. I think the Titans deciding on Cam Ward probably shifted their level of thinking because I think the Giants were operating with the idea for a while that they could still work out a trade with the Titans. And that forced them now to pivot to other ideas when the Titans said, no, we're not trading with you. We're taking Cam. To me, it signals the Giants wanted Cam Ward and a trade up to 1 all along, and they were always the trade partner.
Good on the
They
Titans.
didn't have enough.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
Good
so
on the
that's why I
Titans.
think now they're pivoting late in the process to other ideas because their plan A is no longer an option.
If they legitimately want him, they're going to have to really pay.
There's no price anymore.
Yeah, I
What a
feel
late in the
stance.
process.
But if there
Be
was,
wild.
what a stance the Titans have set. We're not going to listen to the bull crap.
They have forced the Giants to survey other options at this point. So we'll see. I mean, it is going to be interesting if they do end up with Abdul Carter, just how much pass rush talent is on that defense.
Yeah, no. It's,
Everywhere on that defense. That is not a need of theirs at all.
That's what I was going to say. Does it help them be a better team, or do you just say, screw it, we go for the
No,
talent?
you say, forget it. We're going for the talent, I think.
Yeah. It's just hard because they have other needs too.
Yeah, they do.
Just like
And they got to
the
win.
Titans.
They're in the same spot the Titans are. They got a front office coaching staff that got to go win games fast.
It's interesting that there's a mock draft at ESPN.com this morning with Matt Miller, who's actually going to be on the show tomorrow. Matt Miller of ESPN. And it is different scouts from other teams picking 4 teams in the top 10. And one AFC North scout picked Abdul Carter for the Giants and said, easy decision. In a perfect world, we'd wish this would align a little better with a more immediate and glaring need on the roster, but we'll take the blue chip talent and rest easier for it. Mm-hmm. The only other real consideration would be a trade down if the right opportunity presented itself on draft night, given how many pieces away this team is. But these scouts picked pretty much chalk of what we expect in this exercise. Cam Ward goes 1. A AFC South scout picks Travis Hunter for the Browns. AFC North scout picks Abdul Carter for the Giants. Will Campbell from an NFC scout goes to the Patriots at 4. And then Mason Graham from an AFC North area scout goes to the Jags at 5 within this exercise. So anyway, that's the chalk I think that is going to happen, followed by Ashton Genty at 6. It feels like those first 6 picks you feel fairly decent about happening. But you never know.
Mason Graham's got to be the biggest smile ever of any prospect.
He's like the best prospect that we've talked the least about.
I
ever
know.
in the top 10.
Really?
He's not quite in that top
crazy.
4 range, but he's not far away from it either.
He's not. He's the best at
Or
it.
top
He's
3 range, I should say.
Go to Jacksonville, man. Hopefully he's
Yep.
not a menace to the Titans.
Coming up, Urban Meyer has things to say about Tennessee football, and we have things to say in reaction to it next.
901 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. Former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava is expected to commit to UCLA. As first reported by Fox Sports, Colin Cowherd saying, quote, "It's a done deal." Iamaleava entered the spring transfer portal, reportedly looking for a new NIL deal worth $4 million a year. But the deal with UCLA is expected to be just north of $1 million. Cowherd added that Iamaleava's decision was not about the money, but more so the offense in Tennessee. And to hockey, where the Nashville Predators last night concluded their disappointing 2024-25 season on a positive note for the fans on Fan Appreciation Night at Bridgestone Arena as they beat the Dallas Stars 5-1. The Predators head to the offseason with the third best odds to win the NHL draft lottery for the first overall pick. Just the San Jose Sharks and Chicago Blackhawks have better odds. And the NBA, the play-in games continued last night to the east, where the Miami Heat beat the Chicago Bulls 109-90. They'll face the Atlanta Hawks Friday night for the 8th seed and final spot in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And to the west, where the Dallas Mavericks beat the Sacramento Kings 120-106, and they'll face the Memphis Grizzlies Friday night for the 8th seed and the final spot in the Western Conference playoffs. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone, brewed by Scooters Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. You make sure you download that Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. 615-737-1045, the number with the crew all here. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. Urban Meyer talking about Tennessee has some very strong things to say, but we have breaking news in the world of college football. Before we get to that, ESPN with a press release 2 minutes ago that says Lee Corso will have his final college game day show week 1 of the 2025 college football season on Saturday, August 30th, after entertaining fans for more than 38 college football seasons. ESPN broadcaster Lee Corso will put on one more mascot headgear, the press release says. So Lee Corso will hang it up after week 1 of this college football season.
Wow. What a gem.
Yeah, he is, man.
Legend.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the guy that I used to tune into that program for. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never knew what he was going to do. It was an honor to have him pick the big head of your university. The headgear. Amazing career. It sucks because you know it's his last one, but golly, what a run he's been on. I'm glad they're able to do this, and Lee Corso has the opportunity to take a bow one last time. I was messing with y'all on the break. I was like, how much is Kirk Herbstreit going to break down?
He's going to ball.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when the whole thing with his dog happened, and he was thanking everybody for all the kind words and everything. And then at the end of last year with the Ohio State, because he watched the Buckeyes win the state championship. He's an emotional guy, and this has been somebody who he's kind of in the last few years with Lee Corso, he's been off and on the college game days. And as he's gotten older, Kirk's really taken it upon himself. He's like his son almost.
It's almost his handler.
Yeah.
Son like, father, son.
It's touching in so many ways because I think Lee, like you said, he kind of created a lot of the college football game day. And it was kind of just surrounded by him at first.
It was almost Pat McAfee of it. The way the draw of him being on there was. And like, not Pat McAfee, but he was the draw.
He was the draw. And now you're seeing that it's a new era of this, and it's changed, and McAfee's now on there and stuff. But he's done such a great job and such a well-respected figure.
So will this mean more Pat McAfee? Do you want more Pat McAfee on college game day? Or do you want less Pat McAfee on college game day?
I think he plays a role there. I don't think I need more of him, though. I love Kirk Herbstreit. I think, he does probably the best job up there in terms of he's maybe one of the other longer tenured guys up there.
Yeah.
I don't want more of him. I'm okay with him being up there. I think he does bring an element of the new age and, the energy, but I don't need to hear necessarily more of Pat.
more of Pat. I think Pat's role is perfect for what he's doing. They need to put Ron Slay on there.
Yeah, honestly, I was literally just thinking,
I'm glad we was.
who is the college football Ron Slay?
Right.
And Ron Slay can obviously do college football. Don't get me wrong,
actually
but
do it,
who
yeah.
is who's bringing the same energy that Slay's bringing to the SEC network in basketball in football?
And to be fair, he knows ball. Like, you can get caught up on any job, right? You can learn on the job. Like, I know.
Slay to game day.
I shouldn't, yeah.
College game Slay
Yeah.
coming Saturdays this fall to ESPN.
I shouldn't be soliciting him like this. But if there's somebody that's going to crowd surf, love being in it like that, like, I know y'all hate to hear this. I hate to even say it out loud like that, but Lord, that would...
Headbands getting flicked out into the...
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm shooting them over there, man. Because I don't know if Pat can do it like that. Pat McAfee.
I don't need any more Pat
Not
McAfee.
like Kirk.
I've
Yeah,
already got
I mean-
too much Pat McAfee in my life. I don't need any more.
Yeah,
I'm good.
let's
that's
just
what
not
I- you know what I'm
ignite
saying?
him.
I don't actively dislike him. I also don't really love a lot of the things that he is attached to. I'm good.
His thing.
If you're a McAfee person, you love him.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't judge you if you are. Like, I don't need more of him. I think he is we've already got a lot of Pat.
Right.
I want more of Nick Saban is what I want.
And
on
that's
that
the
show.
and
Get out.
that's
No,
the
I'm
other.
serious.
He's really good at what he
He's
does.
fantastic.
Out there. He really is.
He's
a natural.
fantastic. I think he's really comfortable on that desk. I think he does a good job of balancing the humor aspect of it with the information. It is funny. The contrast of him and Pat together, I think, is funny.
It's so funny. It's like
But they're going to need to add another voice to that show.
Yeah.
They're going to need to add another voice to that show. And like Pat publicly being involved in this Ole Miss thing with the Ole Miss girl that publicly got dragged through the mud and Mary Kate Cornett. And that's a crazy story where crazy internet rumors that were totally unfounded were talked about on Pat's show. Like, it's probably the nail in the coffin for Pat being more involved in college athletics. Like, that can't happen.
Yeah.
That should not have happened. And that was irresponsible by Pat. And unfortunately, he's a guy who has a pattern of unresponsible comments into microphones.
But they also continue to let him do it.
Yeah,
You know?
his but like his role that he's playing, that's the only role I want from him though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to that point.
So what would you like besides, like you said, Ron? But besides Ron, like what kind of
I'm
personality?
trying to think of another, like, who's up and coming in the college world to be doing that with that type of personality, to be the expert picker. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if you're going
okay.
to Lee Corso profile, it's a former coach.
Okay.
It's a former coach.
Someone who's gotten out of the business. I mean, the only guy I think of with the zany enough personality to do something like that is Les Miles.
Oh my
really?
gosh.
Les?
Like, but he's never
Yeah.
done media.
Yeah.
But I don't
That'd
think.
be so
I don't know if
funny.
Lee, like 38 years.
Jimbo? Like, Jimbo's no.
Jimbo Fisher would be decent.
Jimbo will be
Be real
decent.
country.
Ed Ogeron?
Jimbo Fisher.
Ed Ogeron.
I thought about him too. You'd have to have a good good person on closed captioning if you had Ed Orgeron. Like, I'm watching College Game Day with the captions on.
I was about to say what Garage just said. Lane fits it, but Lane's
Lane
coaching.
Kiffin, yeah.
Lane fits it.
If he wasn't coaching right now, sure.
If he wasn't coaching, absolutely.
You could put different vegetables in front of Jeremy Pruitt and see what other vegetables he has.
Oh my goodness.
Well, with the lawsuit, he's
What
got
is
going
it?
on, he
Asparagus? What is it? It's a great video.
Nick Saban's good. I think I want Pat on there. I like Pat McAfee
yeah.
being
I'm
on
fine
there
with
for
him
the
being on
like
there.
the way he does his thing. He gets a crowd. I don't think they can not have him on there anymore.
You got a new age.
Yeah,
part
he
of it.
does.
The funny
He brought
thing
it.
is, not funny thing, the interesting thing is, if Dan Mullen hadn't just taken the UNLV job, I bet it would have been Dan Mullen.
Yeah.
Because he was already on
That's right.
payroll at ESPN. He was earning more opportunities and doing a really good job, to be quite honest with you. I thought Dan was crushing it
Yeah.
with what he was doing, and now he's obviously the head coach at
He can be petty,
UNLV.
too.
Stoney Keeley, you had to do it, didn't you? You had
I
to bring
know,
up Mike
yeah.
Leach.
I
You're going
did.
to bring up Stoney. What
would
did
have
he say?
been Mike Leach, rest in peace. If
Would
he
have
were
been.
on that show at some point, guys, oh my God.
I don't know. Mike might be too far the other way, respectfully, obviously.
I would just tune in to see what
I
random
love Mike
things he'd
Leach, don't
say.
get me wrong, but
Putting on that headgear, though,
yeah.
would be hilarious.
yeah, he would have been good.
It's a good group of coaches.
Tyler on YouTube says Mike Gundy after he retires.
Oh, my goodness.
How will Mike Gundy use Lee Corso's retirement to get more money out of the Tennessee opening or out of Oklahoma State? Never doubt Mike Gundy's ability to make more money off of a job coming open.
I got the guy, but he comes with a very streaky recent pass.
Okay.
I'm talking about very streaky, and it depends on his emails.
Bruce Pearl. I'm just kidding.
Well, Bruce would be awesome too. John Gruden.
Gruden, if he was still at ESPN, again, would have been a really good fit for that. Like flawless.
Yeah.
Gruden now at Barstool Sports.
Oh, he is Barstool
Which he can do whatever he
Sports.
wants pretty much there.
Yeah.
Right?
Urban Meyer is also on Big Noon Kickoff too, Brent.
Yeah, he's
I don't want
a
Urban
competitor.
Meyer. I'm out on Urban Meyer.
It
Who
seems
said
like
Tennessee is screwed, by the way, yesterday by the Nico thing.
he did say that.
He said, let me find the quote. This
I
was what
saw
we were
it. I
going
ain't
to talk
want to
about
listen
right
to
here.
Urban. You can read it. to
He
me
said,
a little bit.
here's the thing. Couple key elements here. Everybody's saying, nice job, Tennessee, making a stand. I've got a little comment on that. Tennessee plays Florida usually every year in October. Fact check. No, they don't. But anyway, can you imagine that game's going the other way and Coach Heupel grabs the microphone and stands at the 50-yard line at Neyland Stadium and says, it's okay. I made a stand way back when. Here's the thing. Urban would have told Josh Heupel to retire for health and family reasons if this were him, because that's what he did when Tim Tebow left Florida. I don't know if Urban Meyer is the guy to take moral compass advice from. That's like taking a driver's ed class from Georgia football players, all right? Like if I need advice on morality and doing the right thing by your locker room and by your coaching staff, that's not something I'm going to go to Urban Meyer for.
Yeah, this is one of them situations where everybody's sitting around joking and this person out there laughing a little bit too hard. Like, you grin, you in, Urban. Like, we can bring up all your skeletons right now. You are ahead of the most arrests in the SEC for your program at the time.
It's very ironic.
Like, let's not do this,
By
Urban.
the way, this isn't breaking news, but they hate Tennessee. Like Urban Meyer's family. I remember Shelly when I, spoke with Shelly a lot up there at Ohio State. When I took the job in Nashville from Columbus, the first thing she said, and I actually do like Shelly, but the first thing she said is, God
bless
Tennessee.
Really?
So it's like they had, Florida has something for, at least the Myers did.
Well, he doesn't even know when Tennessee
does.
plays Florida. He thinks it's in October.
Yeah.
That game's never been played in October other than last year.
Clearly is a memory not there.
Whatever. He, look, it's a fair point to say that, that all this sounds great now, but when push comes to shove, if you're getting beat by Florida, it's not going to mean much. Like, I understand the point he's making, but he's not the one to make the point.
No, he's not.
Urban Meyer is not the one to give us morality police in college football.
You type of guy that missed a flight and was in an Ohio
Not
bar.
far removed from that, let's be honest.
You missed your team boarded flight to kick it in a bar in Ohio. Like, what would you tell yourself about that situation, Herb?
Yeah, police yourself.
Yeah, like, this is what happens when you laugh a little bit too hard, Urban Meyer. We bring up your old baggage, sir.
Locally, and again, this won't happen because he's not a big enough name. I'm not advocating for this person, but I will tell you, based off of press conferences he did in this state, who would be electric on College Game Day is Derek Dooley. Electric.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, truly, Derek Dooley is so good on television and making comments in the media. He would crush it. Again, he does not have the profile or the cachet to be that person. But if I'm just thinking out loud on who would be a good Lee Corso replacement, Derek Dooley would be so fun.
Where is he now?
Oh,
Derek Dooley?
Yeah.
I ain't got a clue.
Couldn't tell you.
He
So,
was.
that's
I know he's
crazy.
with the Cowboys, and he also was with the Giants, too. I'm not
Right.
even sure if he's still coaching these days, though.
That's so funny. Those
Derek
orange pants, I
Dooley
remember.
is... Yeah, I genuinely don't know.
Do you know
he's
that's
nowhere
like
to
the
be
one
found.
thing I remember when Montana played the Vols back when I was in Montana and I flew over here. The one thing I remember is those damn pants on the
Those
sideline.
fans, that's all he got left now. To be quite honest with you, or
Stuck out like a sore thumb.
make appointments as former athletes to go work out in your own facility that you gave blood,
Yeah.
sweat, and broken bones
about
to.
that.
Yeah,
Not
do
good.
it. Not probably a great captain. Not a 5-star general.
Let us know at Remote Kayla Will. We'll put out a tweet and you can respond to it there. Who should replace Lee Corso? Or you can call us 615-737-1045. Lee Corso hanging it up after week 1 of the college football season. His last show will be August 30th of this year. So you can let us know on that. Lee Corso replacement, 615-737-1045. Plus, should the Titans consider trading Jeffrey Simmons? They've brought in a lot of defensive linemen for pre-draft visits. We'll talk about it next. RKW is brewed by Scooters Coffee. You can get some U-Espresso at locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. See what I did there? Song's called Espresso? No, it's okay. I'll just keep going. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. It just warms my heart to know my fiance's laughing somewhere.
I mean, it wasn't a bad joke if you know who Sabrina Carpenter is and that famous song of hers.
My guilty pleasure artist, Sabrina Carpenter.
Kayla, it was a bad
She makes good music. So we're talking about who is going to replace, I never said it was good, who is going to replace Lee Corso on College Game Day. We have one vote on the 104.5 The Zone YouTube channel for Jameis Winston.
I love that man.
Would be fun.
He's so great.
We have another one for Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
That's not my
The crowd goes mild.
I would. I'm definitely.
Tim would be fine.
He may be.
I'm not.
He could do a good job.
It's okay.
I don't understand why you're not a Tebow.
He gives me fraud vibes sometimes. I don't know. He always has.
Tebow has.
I'm just being honest.
No. I want you to be honest with that one. Your dislike for him is it's a big show.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think mostly back in the day, too, when he was like coming out of like the whole Florida and then coming out of Florida and.
Was it the kneeling thing that did it? Like
no,
it wasn't that.
Yeah, just kind of just didn't come across
wasn't
as
authentic
genuine.
to you. I understand. I get that. Some people might rub you the wrong way like that. Yeah, that's fair.
Do each is your own.
So the Tennessee Titans have hosted 5 defensive linemen on top 30 visits. Mm-hmm. Of the positions that they have visited with, if Travis Hunter doesn't count as a receiver, then defensive line and receiver are the 2 positions that they have shopped the most in. Those players are Darius Alexander of Toledo, TJ Sanders of South Carolina, Omar Norman-Lott, Vol, Texas D lineman Vernon Broughton, and Florida D lineman Cameron Jackson. So Sam Phelan of A to Z Sports writes that the Jeffrey Simmons trade buzz is only going to grow considering what the Titans have told us in their D-line visits. So the consensus big board is a draft board that puts together what analysts are saying into one big place. And these guys are listed on this big board, these 5 of them, 48th, 65th, 83rd, 131st, and 150th. That would imply that you have a later second or third round pick to work with. Are the Titans giving us a hint that Jeffrey Simmons is tradable going into the NFL draft, or am I reading too much into this?
It's been a soapbox I've been on for a while now. It has been 2 scenarios. I'll give out a few scenarios I've had for Jeffrey Simmons right now. One is this one. At what point will you appease him, right? You have to at some point. If Jeffrey Simmons is a big poster guy outside of Nissan Stadium, and he's your playmaker. He's one of your main faces of all things Tennessee Titans at this point right now. You have to have those guys around. What are you doing to help him? Last year, you went and got into Vondre Sweat. Yes, that helps out a good bit, right? But this year, you also let go of Harold Landry. You trade away Kenneth Murray. Where is the access to make him better to work? Because he said on our show on Friday, or at the golf tournament, Monday. He said on our show Monday, he wants to get to a point where he can pick and choose how he plays his position. By the end of the season, he said he don't want to be no heavier than 305, which means offensive linemen can't wait to just beat you down over the course of the game. This is the way it goes. It's 2 things that have to happen. You're either going to have to pay Jeffrey Simmons a boatload of bread to keep him here because Milton Williams doesn't have the same credentials that Jeffrey Simmons does, is the way I view that situation. Or you have to potentially at some point trade him out because if you are in a rebuild, in my personal opinion, where are you getting it? Will, you brought up those prospects, their rankings according to the to the draft boards.
You want them again?
Yes, just give me the numbers. And first and foremost, before you go, the Titans have the number 1 overall pick and the 35th.
Yep, and then they have 101.
And 101.
These 4 players, or these 5 players, are listed at 48, 65, 83, 131, and 150.
Yeah, that doesn't fit where you're missing a 3rd round pick for those prospects. It would suck to have this conversation, but here's what I would say. This is the time of year where guys like him voices start to creep up a little bit louder as it pertains to what they want and what their team to look like. If you're telling me it's better suited to get Cam Ward a wide receiver than to go help the defense, I'd have a little bit of a problem with that. I would. And this is the professional ranks. This type of stuff happens when we're talking about the longevity of this franchise. And Green Bay has also been a franchise that have tried to plan to move forward before they have to in certain situations. Heck, the Titans did that with Jarrell Casey. This isn't a far-fetched conversation. I know everybody, I saw somebody was like, well, Nashville decide they want to talk about trading Jeffrey Simmons. No, this is a scenario that's been brought up time and time again. It's just getting realer as we get close to the draft.
Anything can happen, absolutely. And I think even Jeffrey Simmons has to know that, right? Like, he could wake up any day and there could be a move made, because we are in such an kind of unstable time right now with the Titans, because they are building for the future. And we don't know exactly what Mike Borgonzi and company want in terms of leadership and getting value out of guys right now. We do know that they want draft picks as much as possible, but would they be willing to give that up for a player, like Jeffrey Simmons, who, this is why I say it does not happen now. I think it could happen in the future. Why I say it doesn't happen now. So he had a contract extension in 2023, right? It was like $94 million. So he would have his current deal extend through 2026, right? So I think you would at least keep him for this season, knowing that you've got to have some leadership going into this year. And I know that they're going to probably draft Cam Ward, and they're going to expect him to be a leader on offense, and eventually he'll be the leader of that team. But reality is right now, folks, there is no other real leaders on this team. And I hate to say it, but Amani Hooker and Jeffrey Simmons are the longest tenured Titans going into season 6 for them. That is crazy to think about. And I like Amani Hooker, but I still wouldn't call him a vocal leader by any means on that team. So when it comes to that locker room, and I've been in there a lot over the past 8 years, Jeffrey Simmons is the dude. I just don't think they're going to trade him now just to add another pick in this year's draft. But I do think he is a tradable piece in the future.
So are you willing to, if he's not being traded and he gets disgruntled, like he don't like the way this franchise is looking?
Right.
Myles Garrett recently did that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to pay a defensive lineman $25 million a year?
Yeah, and that's a slippery slope, right? Because he could definitely go to them. And I don't know Jeffrey Simmons' plan for that. Like, is he probably not as happy right now that he doesn't have anybody else in that room that he came in here with, or that they're not winning games? Yeah, I would be too if I were a player. He's also, though, the face of this franchise. He's out in the community a lot. I don't think he's looking to have people want to crap on him for a reason. But if he does ask for that money, so be it. If that time comes, the Titans might have to pay it.
So when do you think Jeffrey Simmons is movable? This offseason, just after the draft?
I think he could have a good, honestly, he told us at the event that we were at for
Fund recovery
the other day. He had said how great he feels. He almost said this is the best he's felt in a long time, right? So I think he could play this season. And honestly, maybe that could elevate his stock.
I'm just following up on your point that, like, he's not, maybe not now, but later. When is later to you? Is that next year? Mm-hmm. Is that later this offseason? Next year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think Jeffrey Simmons is movable in 2025. I think his value as A, the one elite player on this team, and B, one of the only leaders who's been around for a little bit, that to me is more valuable right now than a day 2 draft pick. Because I think that's what you're getting for Jeffrey Simmons, is a second or third round pick. The only way I'm doing this is if you overpay me and give me another 2. I don't see that happening at this point. Jeffrey Simmons is 27. To your point about comparing him to when the Titans traded Jarrell Casey was 30. And they had a replacement for Jarrell Casey and Jeff already. The Titans don't already have a next man up, because I think T'Vondre Sweat's a little bit of a different kind of player than Jeff is. But I just think that leadership is more valuable right now than a little bit more draft capital. Let's talk again this time next year, because you're going to need somebody to show these younger players the ropes. And I think that is one of the main roles of Jeffrey Simmons right now, because I think Jeff makes a lot of other players around him better.
Yeah.
I think Jeffrey Simmons gets you a better version of T'Vondre Sweat. I think Jeffrey Simmons gets you a better version of whatever inside linebackers you have stepping up into roles this year. And Draymond Jones, and whatever young edge rushers you have. All these guys need a vet to show them the ropes. I'm letting Jeff play on his contract for 2025, and I'm reevaluating all of this exactly this time next year.
What if hypothetically it's announced that he is looking for a new agent, gets a new agent?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at then if the tone changes then?
You've got a contract.
You got to get we're on the side of give him a contract. You're on the side.
No, you have a contract right now that you agreed to.
Yeah.
Not that
Usually
long
when
ago.
that happens, that means the player is disgruntled and wants something more at that point.
But he signed the contract.
He did sign the contract. So did Myles Garrett. Well, I'm not going to act like this doesn't happen.
But
right?
Myles Garrett is sticking around.
Exactly. So, again, are you getting close to $25 to $30 million a year to keep Jeffrey Simmons happy, too? Because, again, one thing I will say that's different between the college and the NFL level is this. There's a higher cap to be played. There's also fair market and also a standard for what each player at his position is being paid. If Jeffrey Simmons feels like he's the best player on this team and deserves the most amount of money as it pertains to it, if I was him, I'd sideways at, like, you guys gave Dan Moore what? Right? I know I'm more valuable than he is on this team, and you also want me to sit here and also get beat down every single week, get double teamed, potentially be injured, have both of my elbows decimated last year for the most part, and I still got to go out here and be in a rebuild with you guys. Yeah. There is a rebuild tax is what I'm saying. So either you pay the tax or you trade the valuation at this point.
So you're saying, Moan, he could go to the Titans this year and be like, look, I want to trade unless you're going to give me some more money.
If there is an agent change at some point.
An agent change in particular.
My eyes are raised a little bit more. This is hypothetical as hell.
No,
right
and
now.
I'm glad you're bringing
saying?
it up because you have to put in all scenarios because you're right. In this day and age, that is, you have to talk about. We just saw it done. And I know Myles Garrett is a different player, but
on this team, he's Myles Garrett.
Yes.
Yeah. On this team, he's
the best player on a bad team.
Yes.
It's a fair comparison to make.
Man, and I think that would only happen, like you said, if he pulled the trigger on and do it. I don't think I don't know. And again, I don't know him that well, right? I covered him, but I don't know him as a person like that. So he could be like, look, I want to trade. Yeah. And the loyalty then goes out the window. Because right now I look at him as the face and he is extremely loyal to his organization. Yeah. But he got to go get his too.
No doubt. And 27 ain't that old either as it pertains to where he's at in his career. He said he was starting to just feel like he was getting to a point where he understood how to play the position a little bit better. Some team that's going to be eager to find that interior guy, Washington, right? Somebody,
any contender. I mean, he makes any contending team better up front.
Pittsburgh, not that they're going to give up. Maybe they will give up, but legitimately.
I think your best argument, Ramon, for giving Jeffrey Simmons a new contract is Milton Williams' deal with the New England Patriots. A guy that does not have a lot of sack production, who now reset the market for interior defensive linemen. That being said, Milton Williams helped win his team a Super Bowl in a way that Jeffrey Simmons has not done. Yeah. And that's not a slight to Jeff. This is a bad football team. He hasn't had the opportunity to shine on a stage like that. Milton Williams has, which is what makes them a little bit different. To me, the production from Jeff this past season, I know he's injured, I know it's a bad defense, he doesn't have a lot of help, does not dictate a new contract, to me personally.
But
he had 5 sacks last year.
To add into the Milton Williams conversation is this part of it too. You see what you can do when you got better players around you.
I agree.
That to me plays more than anything. If this same fan base had people saying and just shouting, Derrick Henry deserves better. Right. I hate that he wasted his like that conversation comes up. Players recognize that too. Right? You look at those situations, if you're chasing a ring at some point, you get to a point in your career where you either ring chasing or you jacket chasing.
Right.
And you get a better opportunity to chase that jacket if you got better players around you. It's to that point that if this is going to be a 3-year rebuild, you get Jeffrey Simmons at 30 years old at that point. That is a long time to get beat to crap. And I know, you're being compensated for that. But if your goal is to be on a winning team, how long do we got to wait for Cam Ward to mature? Now, that's yet to be seen. Yeah. But how long is that going to take, and how long are you willing to wait as a player if you got the type of flex that he does? That's the difference between, I think, his situation and Nico's is, one, there's a higher cap to justify the pay, and then there's also more that he's done.
Sure.
It's just how crappy would it be, though, man, if you just you draft your quarterback and you're like, okay, and then your freaking best player technically goes to them and says,
no doubt,
I want to trade. Could you imagine?
But this is also
that's the life you live as a bad team.
I didn't want to cut you off, but this is what I like though, right here. Well, you said yesterday we might as well just take the whole head off. If you're gonna be in a rebuild, take the whole head off and get something for him right now.
This would be taking the head off
Yeah.
of the snake, quote unquote, and just totally burning it all down.
Devondre Sweat, J.C. Latham, come on up. You're the next leaders. You know how Don does the quarterback thing. I mean, this is like a real thing, too.
It is.
You got to then now find your new core of young leaders.
If I'm Mike Bergonzi in the Titans front office, I'm going to Jeff this offseason saying, you lock in with us, we will reward you for it in 2026. I'm serious.
We working on a promise.
It's interesting.
In a business that
that happens, though. Like, hey, look, we will take care of you.
That promise can be also move this cap around and pay me now then.
Yeah, could be.
And that's bad business if Jeff says, I trust you guys. Hell no, I wouldn't trust the NFL front office.
Okay. Well, I mean, then maybe there is a deal to be done that lowers his cap hit and adds on a year. But I don't think there is a significant reason for the Titans, again, in a rebuild, to kick more money down the road. They want that money in the future with a rookie quarterback to add pieces to help their offense.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest priority, more so than helping Jeff, is helping Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair to Jeffrey Simmons. Totally. I'm not claiming that it is, but the most important thing that you can do as the Titans in 2025 is set up Cam Ward for success.
I don't think it happens this year in terms of a trade. I do think there's possibilities, though, further down the line in recent future.
In 2026.
That could happen.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to have the trade. I think Jeff has more value than just what you get on the field as a culture setter in that team. And I think that matters enough to keep him around this offseason. I am not interested at all in trading Jeff.
I also think Amy Adams-Strunk really likes Jeffrey as a face, right? I mean, because he really is out. You guys, he's out in the free. You don't have to like him.
Yep.
But he is out in the community. He is doing real good work.
He's the face of the team.
If Buffalo gives
No
up the 30th pick for Jeff, you taking it or no?
Yes. But that's not happening.
30th pick. Yeah. That's a hard one to pass over.
First round pick, yes, for Jeffrey Simmons, no doubt. But I don't see a scenario where you're getting a first round pick for Jeffrey Simmons, personally.
Yeah.
Nope.
Do you think that's possible?
Do I think it's possible? I think with the right amount of noise, you can force it 100%. Jeff's never made noise, though.
Noise, right. He's not that kind of guy. He's not that kind of guy, though, I think, to publicly request a trade. Maybe I'm wrong. You never know until you get there. But
you never know.
The problem is, though, that when a request is made, that hurts the team's leverage. Because then your price goes down because everyone knows that the guy wants out. So if he made noise, it might push a 2 price down to a 3. Might go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
What do you think his price is?
Who Jeffrey's price is more than Milton's. I'd say Jeffrey's price is probably close to 27 to 30.
No, trade price.
Trade price?
What could you get for Jeffrey
a late
Simmons?
first or 2 twos. I still think Jeff is there. For a team that wants to play that game, or 2 and a 3. Is not, in my, Jeff is no lower than a 2.
I think like a this year 2 and maybe a next year 3.
I'd say like a 2 and a 5 for a 6.
2 and a 5 and
Jeff.
6. And
Or 2 and a 4.
Jeff gets a new contract wherever he goes.
Yeah. I think it's a 2 and a day 3 pick, and you may be swapping a day 3 pick of your own. I would be very surprised if he warranted a first round pick grade.
The late one, maybe.
Maybe. But that would surprise me. 615-737-1045 is our number. Final headlines on the way out. Some stuff we caught up on much earlier this morning. I've got a name I'm adding to the board for Tennessee football. If you missed it earlier at 7 o'clock, we'll reset that for you coming up next.
Two Rivers Ford announces employee pricing for everyone. Every tradesman, every dad, every rising star. You pay what we pay. Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned. American made.
RKW is brewed by Scooter's Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood with one final segment this morning. Buck Rising Show up next. At 1045 The Zone on Twitter says the Buck Rising Show has a very special announcement today.
Dang.
There you
Looking
go.
forward to it.
Very special. Not just special.
Very
special. We love a special announcement around these parts. So you'll hear another one coming up on the Buck Rising Show. Of course, Nico Iamaleava closing in on UCLA. Chris Lowe reporting it's not done yet. And I believe that's probably right. I trust Chris above pretty much anybody. In terms of what is going on in college football, we know that Josh Hoover, the TCU quarterback, will not be Tennessee's next QB. Getting a vote of confidence to his Horned Frogs that he is locked in and staying with TCU. I am ready to add Joey Aguilar of UCLA to Tennessee's board if and when Nico Iamaleava commits to the Bruins. That is a guy who has played the last 2 seasons at Appalachian State. He is a guy who I think will want to start in his final year that was gifted to him from the Pavia ruling as a quarterback. I don't see Joey Aguilar sticking around to be Nico's backup. I see Joey Aguilar looking for another starting job, and I see that being a really good fit for Tennessee. Now, there are Big 12 names like Rocco Becht out there and Sawyer Robertson. Like, if those are realistic, then yes. Mm-hmm. You go hard down that route. Rocco Becht would be a dream fit for Tennessee, but Joey Aguilar could be a very solid QB1 for the Tennessee Volunteers in 2025, in my opinion.
And you wouldn't really be paying him much because he was making, what, 1.5? I
think the reports were 1.2.
1.2, okay. And, of course, I think you're going to give him something. I mean, he's obviously coming to an SEC program, and you know Tennessee's got a good collective, so you'll probably up that. But, you know, it depends on how he fits, how quickly he adapts to everything here, but it is a quarterback-friendly system, I would say. And I do think Heupel is a quarterback-friendly type of coach. And this guy's got experience. Yeah. I mean, he's kind of gritty. Like, he's went through the JC grind. He went to App State. Yep. Now he's got to have a major boulder on his shoulder because he might be getting booted out of UCLA.
He got knocked. Yeah,
right.
He did, 100%.
So I kind of am on this too if it works out.
The other part of this is, what is this guarantee from UCLA? Right? Aguilar it is. Like, what did you get a signing bonus? Do they have to recant that? Like, there's a lot that goes into this decision for him, I'm sure also. This is where you would love that if it was offsetting contracts for teams that had the ability to take somebody else or you lose that money. So this is going to be one of those situations that I think is very fluid, but what do you also pay him coming to Tennessee?
It's funny. It'd be kind of a trade. It would essentially be Tennessee and UCLA trading starting quarterback.
It'd be so weird. Would that be the first kind of we've seen in that department too?
Yeah, I would definitely
There's
think
always
so.
first, right?
That's always a joke people make is like, oh, if you could just leave and there's free agency, why don't we have trades?
Yeah.
For sure.
It will be that. Only question I have about Aguilar is can he handle what he's going to walk into in such a short window? Right. I looked at just a little bit of his tape and his highlights. I saw him against Clemson. Clemson, got on his butt. Yeah. Okay, he really leaned into him. But it's also his Appalachian State offensive line that he was being protected by and stuff like that. Competitor is what I see in him so far. So I'm not going to give a full breakdown of what it is, but if he's a guy that you think can take over, do it.
Over 3,000 yards last season, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He completed 56% of his passes. Dynamic playmaker. He's an athlete for sure. I think he would be very motivated to have another Power 4 starting option, considering his just most likely got taken away, barring any late change, which with the Iamaleava family,
you never know.
Until I see the tweet from UCLA football that Nico is UCLA's quarterback, I will wait to say that that's official, because it's not. And Colin Cowherd's not a college football reporter.
No.
He is a commentator who is clearly getting stuff one-sided from the Iamaleava family. So, I wouldn't put much stock into what he's putting out there.
Yeah, it was weird getting a report from him. I saw it come through, and even I sent it out. I was just like, what, Colin is breaking news
it's
like this?
Probably that connection over there, and the Iamaleava's just probably going directly to him, like Will said.
As soon as he said, the family wants a different offense, that pretty much ruined any credibility he had.
Nick's like, hey, I got to go to Colin. He's the big name over here.
And I think that's what it is. A lot of this is to combat what the Vols have, honestly. I think
he's burned bridges with all the other college football reporters the Iamaleava family has. So go to the one that's not, and maybe he'll sell your narrative, and clearly he is.
Yeah.
And just to play devil's advocate real quick for them, what if there is some truth in it? Their issue is how the exit went. And how the perception of what they are now has already been painted. They may be telling a little bit of the truth in the stuff that they're leaking out from this camp.
But
didn't do it right.
At the end of the day, it was the money.
Yeah.
Here's some transfer portal news in basketball. Chad Baker-Mazara will enter the transfer portal. He's still got another year. Auburn guard Chad Baker-Mazara entering the transfer portal.
I'd take him. I would easily take
He's
that.
kind of like the Jalen Carey aspect of you hate to play against him, but you love to have him.
Yeah.
Anyway. He's a short shot. Well, he was a short shot. He missed when he needed to.
Yeah. Against Florida, he wasn't maybe as well, but he's a good shooter. He's a good basketball player. He'll be 25, I believe, next season.
Sorry, Babs. I'll take him, though.
Back at it tomorrow morning on our Friday. We will have VolQuest's Brent Hubbs, the latest out of Knoxville. We will have ESPN's Matt Miller at 8:20, and then followed by 3HL. SEC Network and College Game Day candidate Ron Slay.
Throw it out there.
Hashtag.
At 9:20. That's a full Friday for you coming up tomorrow.
Good people, you must remember at all times your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.